Every time I scroll past one of those angsty romance novels where the guy finally leaves after the 100th disappointment, I can't help but laugh. Why give a woman so many chances to hurt you? A smart man should walk away without a second thought the moment he senses something is wrong with the relationship. So when I was reincarnated as the trophy husband in a marriage of convenience to a CEO, I decided my main strategy would be to be obedient and sensible. When the female CEO gave me a black card with no limit so I wouldn't bother her and her first love, I took that card straight to a mall 10 miles away from them and started a shopping spree. If I can't have the woman's heart, why not spend her money? In the private room of an exceptionally elegant restaurant, Chloe Clark's phone was buzzing incessantly. She gave the phone a cool glance, then picked up her wine glass and took a slow sip. Leo looked at her, his eyes filled with a mixture of love and restraint. Chloe, it's your wedding anniversary today. If you do this, what will Ethan think of me? You don't need to worry about what he thinks. Chloe's phone buzzed again, and this time she picked it up to look. A text message read, "Your account ending in 8888 has a new charge of $19,999. Another followed, "Your account ending in 8888 has a new charge of $500,000. After 2 years of marriage, this was the first time I had ever used her card. Chloe's finger traced the screen for a moment before she let out a cold sneer, her eyes unreadable. Leo bit his lip. "Chloe, maybe you should go back." Before Chloe could speak, more messages arrived. "Your account ending in 8888 has a new charge of $688,888. Your account ending in 8888 has a new charge of $988,888. For the first time, I felt the joy of spending without looking at the price tag, reveling in the service of being treated like a king. The desire to shop, suppressed for over 20 years, was now completely unleashed. Luxury watches, sports cars, custom-tailored suits. I couldn't buy enough, I just couldn't get enough. Chloe's phone buzzed periodically, but she didn't look at it again. The atmosphere at the table, however, grew visibly silent and tense. By the time the meal was over, her phone had buzzed 18 times. She only glanced at it after paying the bill. Just as she was about to put her phone away, a call came in from Jessica. "Chloe, I have some news about your husband. Not sure if I should tell you or not." Even through the phone, Chloe could sense Jessica's amusement. Her expression turned cold. "Spit it out." Jessica couldn't help but laugh out loud. "I just saw your husband at the club. He ordered 7 female models at once. If you don't get over here, you might end up with a forest on your head." Ethan went to a club and ordered 7 models? How was that possible? Chloe laughed in disbelief. "Are you blind? No joke. The way your husband is dressed today, I almost didn't recognize him." Jessica sent her a photo. In the picture, a man with a neat short haircut was wearing a black custom-made casual suit and expensive bespoke leather shoes. Even just his back view was enough to suggest someone incredibly handsome. Jessica sent a message. "Can you even recognize that this is your husband?" Chloe once again thought she must be blind. This was Ethan? Impossible. "Chloe, maybe you should just go back. I can watch the movie by myself." Chloe put her phone away, unmoved, and accompanied Leo to the movie. Leo posted on his Facebook to commemorate the premiere of his first film. 20 minutes later, Chloe received another bank alert. "I just topped up my account at the Royal Club for $1 million. She couldn't sit still any longer. Inside the club's private room, the lights swayed amidst music and dancing. I leaned back on the sofa, thoroughly enjoying myself, sipping a bottle of wine that cost over $100,000, while 7 models with incredible figures and impeccable service attended to me. One was tending to the nearly healed cut on my forehead. Another sat on the sofa massaging my legs. One stood behind me kneading my shoulders, and another was peeling fruit for me, while the rest sang and danced. This service was absolute heaven on earth. It was a scene I had fantasized about countless times, and I was beyond satisfied. So when the manager made his sales pitch, I waved my hand grandly and used Chloe's card to add $1 million to my account. Just then, Chloe pushed open the door to the room and saw me tracing a model's collarbone, completely captivated, as if I'd never seen a woman before. "This feels nice. How long did it take you to get this defined?" "Sweetie, I have one too, wanna feel?" "Me too, sweetie." The beautiful young women eagerly showed off their figures, and I felt like I was about to get a nosebleed. The life of the rich is so damn good. Just as I was about to touch another one, there was a loud bang, followed by a cold shout, "All of you, get out!" I hadn't expected Chloe to show up. With my fun interrupted, I reluctantly gave one of the models' waists a little squeeze. "You all go on ahead. I'll call for you again when I'm free." Chloe's face was dark and heavy, like the sky before a storm. Soon, the room was silent, with only the 2 of us left. I leaned back on the sofa and sized her up. No wonder the original Ethan fell for her at first sight. Her face instantly made all those models seem dull in comparison. Sharp eyebrows, cold eyes, a high-bridged nose, and deep, chiseled features. She was like a masterpiece of divine craftsmanship. A neatly draped pink dress accentuated her graceful figure, with a knee-length pleated hem that was both sharp and playful. Black over-the-knee socks clung to her legs, highlighting her tall, stunning physique. With her hands on her hips, she radiated a scorching charm that was utterly mouth-watering. If she were a model, TSK. I couldn't help but imagine it, only to be snapped out of it by her furious voice. Using my money to cheat on me? Ethan, do you really think I won't do anything to you? Chloe stared at me with a dark expression, unable to resist sizing me up for the first time. My usually stiff hairstyle had been replaced with a fresh, clean-cut short style. I shot back righteously. What do you mean, your money? We're married, so your money is my money. You can spend money whining and dining your first love. So why can't I spend some to have a little company? When you were having a candlelit dinner and watching a movie with Leo, I didn't accuse you of cheating and interrupt you. I find a few people to help me relax, and you storm in here in a rage. Not only does that lack class, but if Leo saw this, he might think you actually like me and are jealous and upset. I wasn't afraid of her at all. The novel repeatedly described her disgust for the original Ethan, to the point where a single touch made her feel sick. In short, she was allergic to his touch. For her to lay a hand on me was equivalent to self-harm. So even sharing a bed, I was perfectly safe. Chloe let out a humorless laugh, raising her hand to grip my chin with a look of cold mockery, as if she could see right through me. Stop with the fake act. You deliberately used my card and made such a huge scene just to get me to come here, didn't you? I looked up at her, my palm resting lightly on the side of her waist, tracing her curves through the thin fabric. Well, you did leave Leo to come here. Doesn't that mean I'm more important to you than he is? Chloe's face instantly darkened. She grabbed my wrist, her grip tightening. I've told you before, don't push your luck with me or get any delusional ideas. This is the last time. If I ever see you doing something that damages the Clark family's reputation under the name Mr. Clark again, then your time in that position is over. After speaking, she flung my hand away in disgust and pulled a tissue from the side to wipe her own, just as the book described, loathing any physical contact with me. I almost laughed out loud. I rubbed my chin and sat back down on the sofa, crossing my legs and giving her a cool glance. You won't even sleep with me. I've long been tired of this Mr. Clark position. If you throw the divorce papers at me right now and I hesitate for even a second, then I'm a dog. Chloe paused, looking at me as a smirk slowly spread across her lips. Divorce? Are you sure? After going to such great lengths to marry me, and just now acting like you were desperate for me, you're now talking about divorce? That's the biggest joke I've ever heard. My gaze lingered on her face for a moment before moving down, brazen and undisguised, as I gave her the choice. Either sleep with me, or we get a divorce. Chloe's face instantly turned black. Right in front of me, she called her assistant, Sarah. Draft a divorce agreement and have it delivered to the house tomorrow morning. The original Ethan was madly in love. Even without her affection, he refused to divorce, insisting on forcing the issue until his family was ruined and he was dead. There are thousands of women in the world, but the original Ethan was determined to hang himself from one crooked tree. I had no intention of doing the same. I picked up the unfinished glass of wine beside me, drank it down so as not to waste it, set the glass down and stood up. With an air of "Your loss for not sleeping with me," I said, "You made your choice. Don't regret it." Chloe scoffed in anger. I completely ignored her, put on my jacket, grabbed my new watch and phone, and strode out. Chloe watched me from behind, unconcerned, becoming more certain that I was just drunk and acting out of character, daring to challenge her with talk of divorce. The ride home in her car was silent, and as soon as we arrived, I went straight upstairs to my room. The image of me from tonight, demanding a divorce, flashed through Chloe's mind. She sneered. She was eager to see the look on my face tomorrow when the divorce papers were thrown in front of me. As she passed my door, she heard my voice coming from inside and paused. I was in my room, singing at the top of my lungs. Today is a good day. Everything I wish for will come true. Tomorrow is another good day. Precious time cannot wait. I want to fly to the sky and stand shoulder to shoulder with the sun. The world is waiting for me to change it. The dreams I want to dream, I'm not afraid of others seeing. They can all come true with me. Listening to my drunken, caterwauling performance, Chloe stopped, intending to put an end to my madness. But when she tried the doorknob, she found I had locked the door from the inside. The man who usually tried every trick in the book to seduce her and sleep with her the moment she got home had locked his door. I continued to belt it out. I believe I am who I am. I believe in tomorrow. I believe youth has no horizon. By the sea at sunset. Seeing me in such a drunken state, Chloe finally turned and walked away. The room I was in was the master bedroom. Because Chloe refused to share a room with the original Ethan, she had chosen to sleep in the guest room. Now, this place had become his room alone. I looked around the large, luxurious room, happily singing as I touched the expensive watches in the cabinet and the dazzling array of designer clothes in the wardrobe. I took a bath in the tub big enough for two, put on a pair of incredibly comfortable pajamas, and lay down on the soft, plush bed. I couldn't sleep, I just couldn't. It felt like a dream, too beautiful to be real. The next morning, when Chloe got up, the usual breakfast wasn't prepared on the dining table. She glanced at my door and couldn't help but smirk. just as she thought. The man had sobered up and was probably trying to hide like a coward. Remembering my demands for a divorce last night, she sneered, tossed the divorce agreement onto the coffee table, and left for the office. I had never slept in such a comfortable bed, so I slept until I woke up naturally, well into the afternoon. Seeing that I was still in the luxurious room, I confirmed that I had indeed transmigrated into the book and went over the plot in my head again. In the book, our marriage lasted less than 3 years, which meant that in the coming year, Chloe would bankrupt the Miller family and leave me with nothing. The business warfare in the book was only mentioned briefly without any details, so I had no idea what methods Chloe would use. But the life of the rich was too sweet. I couldn't let my family go bankrupt, no matter what. I got up, got ready, and went downstairs. Seeing the divorce agreement on the coffee table, I immediately picked up a pen and signed my name. Hesitating for even a second would have felt disrespectful to the divorce itself. After signing, I took Chloe's card out of my wallet and placed it on top of the agreement. Then, I gathered the original Ethan's important belongings and headed back to the Miller estate. Forget being the villainous side character. I was going back to be the hero of my own story. When my father saw me return, he immediately put down his newspaper and came to greet me. "Ethan, why are you back at this hour? Did Chloe bully you again?" I answered, "No." My father asked, "Really?" He took my hand, looking skeptical. Usually at this time, I would be busy delivering lunch to Chloe, with no thought for my own family. My father continued, "Well, why didn't you call ahead before coming back? I could have had the staff prepare your favorite dishes. When did you change your hairstyle? It looks great, and that outfit looks good too." The man, in his 40s, was well-maintained and looked at least 10 years younger. His eyes were completely focused on me as he spoke, simultaneously instructing the housekeeper to make a few of my favorite dishes. Every gesture radiated his joy at seeing his son. I looked at him, a pang of sadness in my heart. The paternal love I had always craved but never received in my past life was now being given to me in this way after my death. My father smiled. "I'll call your mother and have her come back for lunch too." Before I could stop him, my father had already dialed the number. I took the opportunity to look around the house, my mood improving with every glance. After ending the call, he pulled me close again, fussing over me. It was clear that ever since the original Ethan married Chloe, he had been constantly worried about my happiness. He comforted me, "Ethan, if anything happens, you must tell your mother and me. We will always be your shield and your support." I remembered being bullied by classmates in my old life. When I went home and told my parents, they showed no concern at all, instead scolding me and asking why, out of all the students, I was the only one being picked on. After that, I never dared to tell them about being bullied at school again. Looking at this handsome and warm father before me, and thinking of his tragic end in the book, I couldn't help but step forward and hug him, silently vowing to change their fate. My father's body stiffened for a moment. How long had it been since his son had hugged him like this? I spoke with determination. "Dad, I'm sorry. I've made you worry these past few years. It won't happen again." Hearing his son's words, my father's eyes instantly reddened. Since his son got married, he had come home less and less, and even when he did, it was always because of Chloe. Back then, he had warned that a forced relationship wouldn't be sweet, but his son had insisted on marrying her and no one else. He was their only son, one they had almost lost in childhood and had cherished ever since. When I insisted on marrying her, they gave in. After the wedding, seeing me unhappy, watching my pride and radiance fade away bit by bit, seeing my world shrink until it seemed to contain only Chloe, and my sense of right and wrong blur, he, as a father, saw it all and felt the pain in his heart. Every time I came home to complain about the grievances Chloe had caused me, he would lie awake all night, truly worried sick. My father's voice trembled. "All I want is for you to be okay." I heard the sob in his voice and pulled away from his embrace to see his eyes were red with tears. Seeing him cry, my own eyes reddened. I reached up to wipe his tears and smiled at him. "Why are you crying? Look, I'm perfectly fine now." My father looked at his son, feeling that I had changed this time, changed a lot, as if I had returned to how I was a long time ago. Just as the meal was ready, my mother returned, and she brought Noah with her. Noah was the son of my mother's best friend, 3 years older than the original Ethan. After his parents passed away, he lived with his grandmother. Since it was difficult for an elderly woman to raise a child, the Miller family took him in as one of their own, supporting him financially and academically until he graduated from college. During college, he worked part-time at Miller Industries, and after graduation, he became my mother's right-hand man. I stole a glance at him, only to meet his gaze. In the book, the original Ethan had always treated him like an older brother. While pursuing Chloe, he often told Noah how much he liked her and asked for his advice. Noah always acted like a protective older brother, doting on him, helping him, but never crossing any lines. Even the readers never suspected anything. It wasn't until he learned of Chloe and the original Ethan's divorce that he went to find him, only to arrive at the scene of a car accident. He trembled as he held the original Ethan, his eyes turning red as he looked at his blood-soaked body. He continuously wiped the blood from the corner of the original Ethan's mouth, murmuring, "Ethan, I regret it. I regret not stopping you from marrying her back then. The deep affection in his eyes was like an impenetrable fog. In that moment, he no longer wanted to hide it. He wanted the original Ethan to know that he loved him, and had for many years. He desperately tried to hold on to him, but he couldn't, forced to watch as his life slipped away bit by bit. This was the only time his inner thoughts were described in the book, and it was his most shining moment, leaving readers surprised, delighted, heartbroken, and full of regret. It was at that moment that I developed a love-hate relationship with his character. My father greeted him, "Noah, you're here too." The original Ethan didn't know Noah liked him, so I decided to pretend I didn't know for the time being. Seeing my father greet him, I did the same. "Noah." He was clean and refined, with a gentle, approachable demeanor. He looked at me, his words tinged with indulgence and his eyes soft. "Short hair suits you better." I replied, "Right? I think so too." Noah continued to praise me. "The clothes look good too." I smiled and said, "It just means my taste has improved recently." The original Ethan was very insecure around Chloe, but always confident around Noah, because Noah treated him with the affection one would show a little prince. I tried my best to imitate that, but I felt I only managed about 80%. The other 20% was because I knew about his secret love and felt a little reserved. Noah smiled and changed the subject. "Aren't you usually busy delivering lunch to her every day? What made you decide to come back for lunch?" I toyed with my watch. "It's so hot out." She said it was too much trouble for me to deliver food, so she told me to stop. As soon as those words left my mouth, not only Noah, but also my father and mother, who had been talking, all looked at me with clear disbelief. As expected, the people who cared about me the most didn't believe Chloe would ever be good to me. Only the original Ethan had believed it. Noah raised an eyebrow. "For real?" I waved my hand. "Look at my hands. Do these look like the hands of someone who cooks?" Noah said, "Let me see." He looked up, his gaze warm and gentle. "They're nice. A guy's hands should look like this." I don't know if it was because I knew about his secret crush, but my face felt a little hot, and I suddenly found it even harder to be relaxed around him. I dared to touch models at the club because there were no feelings involved, no responsibility. When it came to real emotions, I was a complete novice, utterly clueless about how to handle a known secret admirer. I changed the subject, asking, "How's the company doing lately?" Noah replied calmly, "It's doing well." I pressed on, "What does doing well look like?" Noah couldn't help but glance at me. "We're in talks for a few major projects. If we land them, the company could reach a new level." A few major projects? What if our cash flow can't keep up, the capital chain breaks, and the Clark family just stands by and watches? Could this be Chloe's strategy? I cut in, "A few major projects? Can the company handle that?" I don't think the current market environment is very good. The most important thing for the company right now is stability, ensuring we have enough cash flow to deal with any potential risks. I couldn't say it outright, so I hinted at it indirectly. Noah looked at me, a hint of scrutiny in his eyes. "Since when are you interested in company matters?" The original Ethan never cared about the business. Realizing my slip, I touched the diamond on my watch. "I've been around Chloe's company for a while, picked up a few things by osmosis." Noah fell silent. I glanced at him, but couldn't resist reminding him again. "About the projects, you and Mom must consider them carefully, especially the potential risks and whether we can bear them." Noah studied me, trying to read something from my expression. He asked, "Did you hear something from Chloe? Are you trying to get us to give up the competition and hand the projects over to her?" The original Ethan was a love-struck fool who had often asked the family for favors. It was normal for Noah to think this way now that I was suddenly trying to stop them. I explained, "No, it's just that I've been having this recurring dream lately, a dream that the family company goes bankrupt. I'm worried." Noah looked at me without a word, but it was obvious he didn't believe me. After hesitating, I glanced at my parents in the distance, then leaned closer to him, cupping my hand around my mouth. "Actually, I overheard Chloe saying she wants to ruin the Miller family." I pulled back after saying it, and then I saw the tips of Noah's ears turn red. I didn't expect to fluster him so easily. I awkwardly pretended not to notice and explained in a low voice, "I'm afraid Mom and Dad couldn't handle it, so I don't dare tell them. I don't understand business matters, so I can only entrust this to you." Noah rested his elbow on the back of the sofa, casually fiddling with his ear as he looked at me and asked, "And what about you? What are your plans?" Before I could answer, my father came over to call us to dinner. Looking at the table full of delicious food, I was in a great mood. My father put some food on my plate. "Eat more, you've gotten thinner lately." I looked at all the tasty dishes and swallowed. "I've been starving for home-cooked meals. That's why I lost weight. I'll definitely gain it back after staying home for a few days." Hearing this, my father kept piling food onto my plate. "If you want to eat home-cooked food, I'll have someone deliver it to you every day from now on." I explained, "No need, Dad. I'm going to be living at home from now on." At that, my mother, my father, and Noah all stopped what they were doing and looked at me. I also paused and looked at them seriously. "Mom, I'm planning to divorce Chloe. I used to think that if I just tried hard enough, I could make her fall in love with me. But now I know you can't force feelings. I don't want to love her anymore. I just want to come back and be with you all. I said it with a sense of freedom, without any sadness or reluctance. But the depth of the original Ethan's feelings for Chloe was deeply ingrained in the Miller family's minds. My mother and father looked at me, not believing I could let go so easily. They thought it was just a fit of anger and that I would soon change my mind. Why aren't you saying anything? You're not disgusted with me, are you? You don't want me coming back to freeload, do you? My father snapped out of it, put my favorite dish on my plate, and beamed. Of course not. I'm overjoyed that you're back to keep me company. My mother picked up her phone and transferred another 10 million to my account. Come back whenever you want. Mom can support you for 10 lifetimes. Loving parents and unloving parents are truly different. Watching my father continuously pile delicious food into my bowl and seeing the money my mother transferred to me, I thought of my own parents. Growing up, the best food at home was always reserved for my younger brother. If I even reached for it with my chopsticks, my mother would slap my hand away. I wanted to go to college and cried for a whole day and night, but they never agreed, giving me a choice between working or getting married. Working without a degree, there were no good jobs, but they never cared if I was struggling or tired. They only cared about how much money I made and only complained that I didn't bring enough home. They would only use the debt of raising me to emotionally blackmail me. When I died, they probably didn't even shed a single tear. Looking at the parents in front of me, my eyes grew moist. Thank you, Dad. Thank you, Mom. From now on, I'll only love you. In the book, after Miller Industries went bankrupt, my mother couldn't handle the shock of her daughter-in-law being the mastermind behind it all. Her high blood pressure caused a cerebral hemorrhage, and she fell into a coma, becoming a vegetable. My father, unable to bear the double blow of his wife's condition and his son's death, fell into a deep depression and eventually took his own life. I had to change all of that. I also put some food on their plates. Just as I was about to put down my chopsticks, I noticed Noah watching me, a hint of playful jealousy on his face, as if competing with my parents for attention. He asked, "What about me?" I glanced at him and put a piece of meat on his plate, a fatty piece, his least favorite. Clark Corporation. Sarah walked into the CEO's office with a file. "Ms. Clark, is Mr. Miller not bringing lunch today?" Chloe glanced at her watch. By this time, I would have usually already delivered her lunch. Was he so afraid of her divorcing him that he didn't even dare to bring her food? She looked up and gave Sarah a cool glance. "What? Have you gotten addicted to it? Should I call and ask for you?" Sarah quickly explained. No, I was just asking. Every time Mr. Miller brought food, it ended up in her stomach. After a while, she had gotten used to it. This was the first time he hadn't brought lunch, and she was genuinely curious, so she couldn't help but ask. Seeing the CEO's displeasure, she quickly grabbed the signed document and left. Chloe had a rare day without me bothering her. After finishing work, the image of me from last night, dressed in a black suit, with no trace of her in my eyes, demanding a divorce, flashed in her mind. She smirked and headed directly to the club. As soon as she entered the private room, she saw everyone looking at her. She sat down on the sofa, and seeing them still staring, her face darkened. "What are you all staring at me for? Is something wrong with you?" Jessica walked over and asked tentatively, "Why isn't Ethan following you around anymore?" Chloe shot them a cold glare. "Weren't you all the ones who used to complain about him following me? Now that he's not here, isn't that perfect? Don't be ridiculous." After observing her expression, Jessica poured her a glass of wine. "We're just worried about you. We're afraid that if he stops caring, you'll start caring about him." As Chloe's best friends, they knew better than anyone that wherever Chloe was, I would follow. I would never go to a club to find models, much less leave Chloe behind to go on a trip to Miami. It seemed he really didn't care about her anymore. Seeing the same expression on all their faces, Chloe's face turned black. "If your eyes are useless, you should all go donate them." Jessica tried to smooth things over. "Hey, as long as you don't care about him, it's fine. Come on, everyone, let's have a drink to celebrate Chloe's temporary escape from misery." Chloe picked up her glass and drank, not paying any attention to the point of their conversation. As they were drinking, Olivia held up her phone and said, "Miss Clark, even though Ethan forcing you into marriage was an insult to your dignity, with his looks and physique, he's more than a match for you. How did you manage not to touch him for 2 years? Back when I only had eyes for Chloe, I had the contact information of all her friends so they could all see my Facebook posts. My feed used to be all about Chloe, either showing off our love and declaring my possession of her, or writing long essays about how much I loved her. Knowing that Chloe had blocked my Facebook feed, whenever I posted one of my essays, her friends would often share it in their group chat to tease her. But just 2 hours ago, they discovered that I had deleted everything related to Chloe from my Facebook and had posted about landing in Miami. It was a beautiful 9-photo grid of me watching the sunset on a Miami beach, with the caption, "With the person who loves me most, watching the most beautiful scenery. Times like these are the best." Chloe saw everyone looking at their phones and glanced over, seeing a picture of me smiling happily on the beach. David couldn't help but comment, "He seems to have changed so much all of a sudden." Jessica teased from the side, "He actually looks quite charming like this." Olivia clicked her tongue. "This is probably what it looks like when you stop loving someone." With a loud bang, Chloe slammed her wine glass down on the coffee table, glaring at them with a dark expression. Is there something wrong with you all? We came out for drinks, and every single one of you is on your phone talking about Ethan. Chloe stormed out, got into her car, and irritably unbuttoned the collar of her shirt. She took out her phone, opened her contacts, and found my Facebook profile, only then realizing I had gone to Miami. In the photos, my clear, bright eyes were filled with laughter, as if light were spilling out from within. Whether it was a profile shot with my head tilted back or a picture facing the camera, every gesture exuded happiness. My eyes seemed to hold all the beauty of the world, looking pure and vibrant, giving off a sense of peaceful, happy times. Was this me? Was this the same me from before, whose eyes were either filled with love for her or anger towards others, who paraded around with the title of Mr. Clark, who was prone to suspicion, jealousy, fits of rage, and unreasonable tantrums? Person can't change so suddenly. Chloe simply didn't believe the person in the photos was the real me. Others might not know, but she knew. I was avoiding the topic of divorce, and posting pictures of myself on Facebook was just another attempt to please her. Yet, even knowing my supposed motive, she found herself captivated by these unusually different photos. This was my first trip ever. Miami was also the place I had most wanted to visit when I was alive. The cool breeze, the seafood feast, the red wine, and having my mother with me, eating while enjoying the seaside night view, left me with only one feeling: the world is so beautiful. In my past life, I never had enough money and never had the chance to experience a life like this, nor did I have many beautiful moments worth recording. But now, I feel there are so many wonderful things to document, like delicious food, a mother's love, and special experiences. The next morning, I wanted to go diving, so my mother hired a private instructor for me. He took me diving, and I enjoyed the wonderful feeling of weaving through coral and playing among schools of fish, feeling relaxed and happy. The sky by the sea was blue, the water was clear, and the wind was just right. I went diving in the morning and surfing in the afternoon. I can't even describe how happy I was. That night, after showering and lying down, I picked up my phone and saw that one of the original Ethan's informants had sent me a trending topic about Chloe and Leo. I glanced at it. They were in the same frame, but there were no romance rumors. I was getting anxious for them. Just as I was about to tell the informant I no longer wanted to know anything about her, a video call came in from Noah. Are you having fun? I replied directly, yes, I am. Noah had also just showered and was still drying his hair with a towel. Fresh from the shower, his eyes had a deeper look, his skin appeared clearer and smoother, and his lips were a moist, healthy red. He had a mature yet clean, boyish charm, gentle and refined but not lacking in masculine appeal. I almost couldn't contain my lustful thoughts. Noah then said, I want to come too. I retorted grumpily, you should just focus on your work. I glanced at the bathroom. My mother was still showering. I lowered my voice. What I said last time wasn't a joke. It's true. The Clarks are going to turn on the Millers. You need to prepare in advance. The whole company is counting on you. Noah paused what he was doing and looked at me. Aren't you afraid that I, like Chloe, might also have designs on the company? I looked at him with conviction. No, I'm not. I trust you. Noah looked at me, his dark eyes warming slightly. I didn't expect that even this would fluster him, so I quickly ended the conversation. All right, it's getting late. I'm going to bed. You should get some sleep too. Noah replied softly. Remember to bring me back a gift. Lying in bed, I thought about his years of deep, unrequited love for the original Ethan and decided to grant his small request. The next day, when Chloe woke up and checked her phone, the trending topic was still there. I hadn't contacted her, and no one from Leo's side had either. She couldn't resist opening my Facebook profile again, only to see that I had updated my status 5 minutes ago. It was a video of me riding a rented electric scooter from a tourist spot, taking my mother on a tour. In the video, I was wearing a light beach shirt, laughing freely under the azure sky in the morning light, the wind gently dancing through my hair and the corners of my clothes. I was chattering about something, so vibrant I looked like the very embodiment of happiness, making all the scenery along the way seem pale in comparison. I hadn't come back. I was still on vacation. If I had time to post on Facebook, there was no way I hadn't seen the trending topic. Yet, not only had I not returned, I seemed even happier. Chloe let out a humorless laugh and tossed her phone aside. This time, I had actually grown a spine. She was curious to see how long I could keep it up. Her day was packed with appointments. When she returned to her hotel that night, she collapsed onto the sofa, exhausted. Staring at the warm lights, the image of me happily riding the electric scooter flashed through her mind. She took out her phone to check my Facebook and saw that I had updated my status again a few hours ago. The caption read, "Moms are the best in the world." The 9-photo grid was filled with pictures of me either eating various local snacks or showing off little trinkets I had bought. In the center was a photo of my mother and me, wearing matching sunglasses. The moment I mentioned divorce, my mother, afraid I would be sad at home dwelling on the past, immediately took me on a trip to clear my head, staying by my side the entire time. She would take pictures of me, praise how handsome I was, and buy me any delicious food or nice things she saw, wanting me to taste everything and have all the best things. A mother like this is the best mother in the world. I just wanted to show her off. I didn't expect to make someone jealous. In the comments, my father left a sour message. Is Dad not good? I immediately replied, Dad is good too, but Mom bought me all these things. Noah also joined in the fun. Am I not good? I typed with a smile. You're good. You're the best in the world. Chloe tugged at her collar, the tightness in her chest still there. It had been 3 days. For 3 days, I hadn't looked for her, hadn't contacted her, and yet I seemed happier with each passing day. Seeing me so happy made Chloe feel uncomfortable, like she had swallowed a dead fly. Just then, her phone buzzed. I had sent her a message. The tightness in her chest suddenly dissipated. The man had finally caved. For the first time, with a hint of anticipation, she opened our chat window. I had asked bluntly, it's been days since I signed the divorce papers. Shouldn't we go and finalize the proceedings? Chloe stared at the line of text, her eyes widening slightly, her hand gripping the phone tighter and tighter. After a long moment, she got up, left, and drove home. The home where a light was always left on for her, no matter when she returned, was now completely dark, with only the lonely streetlights outside providing any illumination. She turned on the hall light and walked in. The house was empty, devoid of the figure that always used to wait for her return. On the coffee table, her card lay on top of the divorce agreement. She picked up the agreement and opened it. The handwritten signature, Ethan Miller, was strikingly bold. The paper in her hand crumpled as emotions churned in her eyes. The man who was fighting over her and getting jealous just a few days ago now wanted to divorce her? How was that possible? Chloe let out a cold laugh of disbelief. At the Miller estate, my mother took out the local specialties from a large bag and distributed them to the household staff. Ethan said these were delicious, so he brought some back for you all to try. Everyone happily accepted the gifts and thanked her, a sense of shared joy spreading through the house. My father was drinking his after-dinner tea, and Noah was on a work call. Although the house was large, it didn't feel cold at all. It was warm and wonderful. I held my phone, seeing that Chloe hadn't replied yet, and thought about giving her a call in a bit. Noah sat down next to me. Where's my gift? I looked up and met his gentle gaze, which held a hint of anticipation. With my biased view of him, it was hard not to favor him. I got up, opened my luggage, and took out 2 small night lights. One was made of seashells that I had collected myself and assembled at a DIY craft stall. I held them out for him to choose. Which one do you want? Noah looked at both of them. Who's the other one for? I didn't expose his little trick. It's for me. Noah smiled, picking up the seashell night light and examining it over and over. After finishing distributing the gifts, my mother saw the night light in his hand and casually mentioned, Ethan made that one himself. Hearing this, Noah immediately looked up at me, the surprised delight in his eyes almost impossible to hide. You made this. The original Ethan had only ever made things by hand for Chloe. Having been secretly in love with him for years, this was the first time Noah had received a handmade gift from him. The joy was palpable. I gave him a cool glance. What? You don't like it? If you don't like it, give it back. Noah looked at me with a soft gaze. I don't dislike it. I don't know if it was because I knew he was in love with the original Ethan, but when he looked at me like that, I felt a hidden, restrained affection that made it hard to resist his handsome allure. I stood up with my phone. I'm tired. I'm going to my room to rest. Back in my room, I opened my phone and saw that Chloe had replied to my message. Tomorrow morning, 9 a.m., City Hall. In the book, Chloe bankrupted the Miller family, forced me to divorce, and left me with nothing. Now that we were divorcing early, did this mean the fate of the Miller family's bankruptcy could also be changed? I was in a great mood. Afraid of oversleeping, I even set an alarm after my bath. The next day, I woke up before the alarm even went off. Thinking about the freedom I was about to regain, I took special care in getting dressed. When I went downstairs, my father had already finished breakfast and left for the office. My mother was trimming flowers she had picked from the backyard. She called me over for breakfast when she saw me. I was in a hurry, so I made an excuse and left quickly, planning to give them a surprise after the divorce was finalized. The original Ethan knew how to drive and had a license, but I didn't. I only knew how to ride an electric scooter and had never even learned to drive. I had called a car in advance and arrived at City Hall at 8:50 a.m. I took out my phone and called Chloe. I'm at City Hall. When will you be here? Chloe replied, soon. I waited under the shade of a tree until 9:30 before I saw Chloe's car pull up. I eagerly went to meet it. Chloe looked at me through the car window. I was stylish, my white shirt faintly revealing a firm chest, a smile on my handsome face, and my neat short hair stirring in the wind. I had an outstanding presence with a touch of youthful color, like an alluring male siren. I walked towards her against the sunlight, as if I were glowing, making everything around me seem dim. I stopped in front of the car and knocked on the window. Only then did Chloe compose herself and open the door to get out. Our eyes met. There was no trace of her in my eyes, nor any sadness, only a happy smile tinged with a bit of unfamiliarity, which was not what she had expected. I just gave her a light glance and said, Let's go. After saying that, I turned and walked towards the entrance of City Hall, my steps light and eager. It was only at this moment that Chloe was finally convinced that I truly wanted a divorce. She watched my back, the scene of being forced into marriage flashing in her mind. Although more than 2 years had passed, it was still as clear as yesterday. Being forced to marry me was a humiliation for her, and from the moment we were married, she had been waiting for the day she could avenge that shame. Before that day had even arrived, I wanted a divorce? I walked a few steps, saw she was still standing there, frowned, and walked back. What's wrong? Seeing her just staring at me without speaking, I suddenly had a bad feeling. Don't tell me you didn't bring your documents. You came to get a divorce and you didn't bring your documents? I suppressed my frustration and urged her. Then hurry up and have someone bring them over. Chloe just kept giving me a cold look, not saying a word. I stared at her, speechless. Well, make the call. What are you looking at me for? Only then did Chloe compose herself, glance at her watch and finally speak. I have a meeting at 10. We'll talk about the divorce later. I quickly tried to stop her. We're already here. Why make another trip? Just postpone the meeting. It won't be too late to hold it after we've finished the paperwork. It was so hard to get her here. There were too many variables for next time and I didn't want to wait. I said this because in the book, she often postponed meetings for Leo, which showed that the meetings weren't that important. But as soon as I finished speaking, Chloe's expression changed as she looked at me, as if I had committed some unforgivable crime. Her face was cold enough to freeze someone to death. Ethan, do you really think your affairs are always the most important? That the livelihoods of tens of thousands of employees are less important than your divorce? You think too highly of yourself. I was stunned for 2 seconds by her tirade. What a hypocrite. It was fine when Leo asked her to postpone a meeting, but when I asked, it affected the lives of tens of thousands of employees? And also, was this divorce my business alone? Wasn't it hers too? Chloe didn't give me any time to react. She just left after scolding me. We had agreed to a divorce, but she showed up late without her documents. I should have been the one who was angry, yet she was the one who stormed off, slamming the car door. I was so angry I wanted to curse. I had already planned my Facebook post to celebrate being single, even thought about where I would go to have fun tonight, but the divorce didn't happen. I went to the supermarket, bought a huge pile of snacks, and then headed to Clark Corporation. When Chloe returned from her meeting, she found me sitting on the sofa in her office, playing a game on my phone with a spicy snack stick hanging out of my mouth. The whole office smelled of it. The coffee table was covered with snacks like chips, chicken feet, and spicy sticks, all things I would never have eaten before. Chloe frowned in disgust. Why are you here? I kept my eyes on my phone while eating my snack, not even looking up. I'm here to wait for you. Chloe paused, glanced at me, then walked to her desk chair and sat down, looking at me. Wait for me for what? Eating junk food, playing games, with none of the image-conscious baggage of a wealthy heir. This version of me was too unfamiliar. I finally paused my game and looked up at her. Didn't we fail to get the divorce finalized this morning? I know you're busy, so I'm waiting here for you. We can go again when you're done. Chloe gave me a cold look and loosened her collar. I'm busy all day today. I glanced at her, then again, skeptical. Then when will you be free? Chloe picked up a file from the side. I'll contact you when I have time. I had a feeling she had changed her mind. As a CEO worth billions, if she wanted a divorce, how could she not find the time? But why would she back out? She despised the original Ethan so much. Wouldn't a divorce be a release? Or had she not tormented me enough yet? Although the female lead in the book never said it, her attitude towards the original Ethan clearly showed she was retaliating for the forced marriage. Now that I wanted a divorce, was she going to make me experience the pain of wanting to leave but being unable to? I stood up in anger and questioned Chloe. Are you trying to back out of the divorce? I'll give you 3 days. If you don't go with me to finalize it within 3 days, then I'll sue for divorce. I wasn't discussing it with her, I was informing her. After saying that, I picked up my snacks and prepared to leave. Just then, Leo pushed open the office door and walked in. When he saw me, a look of fear immediately appeared in his eyes, and he tried to back out. I quickly spoke up. Wow, did I come at a bad time? I immediately stopped him. No, you're just in time. The male lead of the novel was described as fresh-faced and well-behaved, delicate and frail, inspiring a protective instinct in anyone who saw him. He had a tragic family background. His father was a compulsive gambler, and his mother was in poor health. In high school, when his father couldn't repay his loan shark debts and was about to sell him, Chloe saved him. From then on, she shielded him from all harm. When he wanted to enter the entertainment industry, Chloe signed him to her company and made him a hot, rising star. As the male lead of the book, he was kind, hardworking, and had strong moral values. He had fallen for Chloe the moment she saved him, but he always felt he wasn't good enough for her and didn't dare to confess, wanting to work hard to become better and worthy of her. After Chloe was forced into marriage, even though he adored her, he stuck to his principles of not being a third party and maintained a friendly distance. The novel was mostly from the perspectives of the male lead and the original Ethan, with the female lead's love for the male lead shown through events. In the part one read, There had been no confession yet, so their mutual, restrained, secret love earned the reader's endless sympathy and anticipation. Meanwhile, the original Ethan, this villainous side character, was constantly being wished off the stage by readers. I calmly explained to him, I just finished talking to her about the divorce. She doesn't have time to finalize the paperwork today, and I was just about to leave. I glanced at Chloe, then at Leo, and left quickly with a sincere smile on my face. You two take your time and talk. I won't disturb you. As I passed Leo, I clearly felt him flinch away. It's no wonder Leo was afraid of me. The original Ethan had always seen him as a homewrecker, lecturing him every time they met and even hiring people to try and defile him on several occasions. A true villain. To clear my name, I walked out of the office and thoughtfully closed the door behind me. Leo's eyes widened as he watched me leave in a daze. When he looked at Chloe, he saw her staring at the closed door, her expression dark. As he approached with the local specialties he had brought back, he saw that the ink from the pen in Chloe's hand had bled all over the document. Chloe pulled her gaze back and looked up at him. Why are you here? Leo smiled and placed the bag on the table. Some local specialties from my trip. I thought they were pretty good, so I brought some for you. Thanks for helping me find a doctor for my mom. He looked at her with restrained eyes. Are you divorcing Ethan? As I came out with my snacks, I ran into Sarah, who was holding a file to be signed by Chloe. I stretched out my arm to stop her. Your boss is busy with something important right now. Wait until Leo comes out to take the file in. Sarah looked at the office door, then at me, completely bewildered. Leo was in there? Leo was in there, and not only was I not throwing a jealous fit, but I was calmly standing here, preventing others from disturbing them. I opened my bag of snacks. Want some? Seeing the bag held out to her, Sarah, a foodie, couldn't resist the temptation and took a pack of pickled chicken feet. Thank you, Mr. Miller. I then added a piece of advice. From now on, be more observant. When Leo comes to see her, don't go in and disturb them. I left after saying that. Helping them was helping myself. They had better hurry up and give in to their desire to be together, so Chloe would finalize the divorce with me sooner. After all, suing for divorce required evidence of a broken marriage, which seemed like a lot of trouble. Sarah was eating her chicken feet when Leo came out. She went in with the file and couldn't help but gossip. Do you know what Mr. Miller just said to me? Chloe glanced up at her. Sarah continued. Mr. Miller said I could only come in after Leo left. He also said that from now on, whenever Leo comes to see you, I shouldn't disturb you. Chloe threw a file at her, her face full of anger. Does he pay your salary, or do I? Sarah caught the file and continued. Don't you think Mr. Miller has changed? It seems like he's not jealous of you anymore. He even seems to be pushing you and Leo together. Chloe gave her a cold look, a dangerous smile playing on her lips. Have you been too idle lately? Sarah immediately shut her mouth, grabbed the signed file, and fled. Chloe slammed her pen on the desk, the smile on her lips slowly turning cold, her gaze hardening. The divorce didn't happen. I left the company, and seeing it was almost noon, I hailed a cab and went home. After having lunch with my mother, I looked up a nearby driving school online and called for information. There were so many luxury cars in the garage that I could look at but not drive, which was pure torture. The original Ethan had a license, so all I needed to do was learn how to drive. The driving school had a dedicated training ground, which was perfect. After making an appointment over the phone, I called a car to the driving school. Following the principle that money makes the world go round, the owner found a beautiful instructor with an incredibly good temper to teach me one-on-one. I have to say, you get what you pay for. I felt incredibly clumsy, but throughout the entire afternoon, the beautiful instructor never once looked annoyed. She constantly encouraged and comforted me, providing top-notch emotional support. I spent the whole afternoon and finally managed to learn the basics. To thank the instructor, I invited her to dinner afterwards. As Chloe was getting off work, Jessica sent her a message. Chloe, we were wrong last time for not considering your feelings. We're treating tonight to sincerely apologize. She paused, then stood up and grabbed her jacket. 20 minutes later, she walked into the restaurant and saw a familiar figure laughing flamboyantly. As she approached, she heard me openly complimenting the woman. I was just saying, a young lady like you, with both looks and a great figure, clearly destined for great things. Why would you waste your talent as a driving instructor? I found out she wasn't an instructor but the driving school owner's daughter, forced by her mother to teach me because they were short-staffed. I couldn't help but laugh. As I was laughing, I felt a chilling gaze and instinctively looked up to see Chloe standing nearby, her face dark. Before I could say anything, Chloe yanked me to my feet, dragged me out of the restaurant, and pinned me against her car, speaking viciously. Ethan, we're not even divorced yet, and you're already out finding other women? Who gave you the nerve? I looked at the woman so close to me. What a waste of such a beautiful face with such a terrible temper. I rubbed my wrist. What other women? I was just having a normal dinner with someone. Don't talk nonsense. Chloe was furious, staring at me. A normal dinner? Do you think I'm blind? I didn't want to look at her face, so I looked up at the sky. If you think you're blind, there's nothing I can do about it. Chloe gave me a cold look and laughed in anger. She grabbed my chin, forcing me to face her. her demeanor radiating a controller's menace. "Ethan, do you think this is still 2 years ago, where I have to tolerate everything you do?" Seeing her touch me as if it were an act of self-harm, I smiled and moved closer, boldly and wantonly placing my hand on her waist. "Then tell me, what do you want to do?" Chloe's breath hitched, and she grabbed my wrist, her face turning ugly. Knowing how much Chloe hated the original Ethan's touch, I knew that every time I touched her, her disgust for me would grow. Seeing her face darken, I lifted my leg and rubbed it against hers, continuing to provoke her. "How about we find a hotel? Summer clothes are thin and I was wearing shorts." Rubbing my bare leg against hers felt like a tickle directly on her heart, a sensation like ants crawling that suppressed some of the muscle memory disgust. The old me would never have dared to be so audacious, nor would I have been so seductive. My eyes clearly held no love for her, yet I pretended to be lusting after her body, treating her as if she were a club model. Chloe swallowed hard, her face darkening another shade. Seeing that she still hadn't disgustedly pushed me away, I made a move to kiss her. Only then did Chloe shove me away, pulling out a handkerchief to wipe her hands. "Ethan, get rid of your fantasies. You will never get what you want from me." Just as I thought. She wasn't divorcing me because I wanted a divorce. I rubbed my wrist, deliberately showing no sign of pain. "Is it possible that what I can't get from you, I can get from other women?" Though I craved her body, my gaze roamed wantonly below her waist, making my insinuation obvious as I continued to provoke her. "But with the lights off, all women are the same. It doesn't have to be you." Chloe's face was as black as if it had been soaked in ink. She clenched her jaw, threw away the handkerchief, and laughed in fury. "You try it," I retorted. "Wasn't I just about to try before you interrupted me? If you have nothing else, I'm going back inside to continue." My phone was still in the restaurant. I smoothed my hair, and seeing that Chloe wasn't stopping me, I went back inside. But as soon as I sat down, my phone rang. I picked it up and saw that Chloe had sent me a video. I opened it, and my face instantly turned pale. The video contained evidence of the original Ethan hiring people to kidnap Leo, evidence of him pushing someone into the road during a scuffle, causing a car accident, and proof of me having Leo bullied. If this evidence were taken to the police, it would be enough to land me in jail for several years. Chloe hadn't used it before because she was wary of the Miller family. Now that she was, it seemed she was no longer afraid of them. I had only just started enjoying a good life. I didn't transmigrate here to enjoy prison. Amidst my complicated feelings, a message from Chloe arrived. "I'll give you 2 minutes. Come up here obediently." Chloe was using this to threaten me. I was unwilling, but I was even more unwilling to go to jail. The instructor, whose name I learned was Wendy, saw my pale face and poured me a glass of water. "What's wrong?" I replied. "Sorry, something's come up and I have to go. Please take your time." I quickly paid the bill and went upstairs to the private room to find Chloe. In the private room, when Jessica arrived, she happened to see the scene between Chloe and me by the car. She snapped a picture and shared it with her friends in the room. From her angle, it looked like Chloe was passionately making out with me in a dominant, controlling way. Then everyone gathered at the window and saw me walk away without looking back, which further convinced them that Chloe had just forced herself on me, that I didn't love her at all. When Chloe arrived, Jessica immediately went to pour her a drink, and everyone avoided mentioning me. When I pushed the door open and walked in, all 3 of them were momentarily stunned. Jessica, ever observant, quickly stood up, cleared the seat next to Chloe, and set out a new, unopened set of tableware. I smiled and raised a hand to greet them. "Hello." I glanced at Chloe and walked towards her. The 3 of them looked at me, then at Chloe, and started whispering to each other as if I were invisible, just like old times. I gritted my teeth, used my chopsticks to poke through the plastic wrap on the bowl, leaned a little closer to Chloe, and asked in a low voice, "What's the meaning of this?" Chloe gave a cold smirk. "Just want you to be a little more obedient." My fists clenched. Did this crazy woman have any hobbies other than tormenting me? I put on a fake smile, picked up my chopsticks, and put some food on her plate. "Of course, darling, if you tell me to go east, I'll never go west. If you tell me to warm the bed, I won't just warm the room." Chloe glanced at me and put down her empty wine glass. I immediately refilled it for her. After practicing driving all afternoon, I was hungry too. Since she didn't make any demands, I started eating with gusto. After finishing a bowl of rice, I noticed everyone was staring at me. I got another bowl and gave them a smile. "Do you want some? I can get it for you." They were even more surprised. Me, who usually only had eyes for Chloe and only served her, was offering to get them rice? The next second, Chloe, who always hated me waiting on her, spoke up. "Since you love helping people so much, peel this bowl of shrimp for me." I love to eat them? My fists clenched again. This damn crazy woman. I wouldn't even peel them for myself. I smiled as I sat down, smiling at her, but the smile didn't reach my eyes. "Of course, darling." I took the bowl of shrimp and started peeling, all the while thinking of a way out of this situation. I couldn't let her keep threatening me like this. I was so lost in thought that I absent-mindedly popped a peeled shrimp into my own mouth. The 3 of them looked at me, then at Chloe, their exchanged glances full of gossip. Chloe watched me eat the shrimp, enjoying it with relish, her expression unreadable. I only snapped back to reality when I felt a gaze cold enough to freeze me. I quickly stuffed the shrimp I was about to eat into her mouth. I tested it for you. It's safe, not poisoned. Chloe, having been force-fed, began to chew instinctively. She looked at me, the coldness in her eyes softening slightly. The old Chloe would have been disgusted if I even put food on her plate. Now, seeing me feed her directly, not only did Chloe eat it, but she seemed to be enjoying it. Everyone started to tease us. Olivia raised her glass. TSK, TSK. When you two are showing off your love, could you please consider the feelings of us single people? Jessica chimed in. Exactly. Do you people have some kind of misunderstanding about what showing affection looks like? I was fuming inside, unable to stand their teasing, but I could only pretend to be trying to please her. Olivia toyed with her wine glass, a bit testily. She's so hard to please. Have you considered liking someone else? I stuffed another peeled shrimp into Chloe's mouth, looking at her with adoring eyes as if she were the only person in the world. She's a little hard to please, but she's beautiful. I just love how beautiful, cool, and well-built she is. Chloe looked at my lying face, smiling on the surface while secretly grinding her teeth. A hint of amusement appeared in her cold eyes. I couldn't help but curse inwardly, damn pervert. After dinner, as we were leaving the restaurant, I was still thinking about going back to my own home when Chloe tossed me the car keys. You drive. Chloe had been drinking and couldn't drive. The original Ethan knew how to drive, so I couldn't refuse. Seeing Chloe get into the back seat, I braced myself and took on the role of driver. Thankfully, I had learned to drive that afternoon. As a new driver, I was inevitably nervous, especially driving at night. I focused completely and drove very slowly. Chloe leaned back in her seat, watching me drive the luxury car at the speed of a tractor. Not knowing what new act I was putting on, she laughed in exasperation. Could you possibly go any slower? My hands were sweating on the steering wheel, my mind completely focused on driving. I couldn't handle any distractions. Don't talk to me. Chloe's face instantly darkened. Ethan, have you forgotten your place? The next second, the car shot forward like an arrow. I saw the car accelerating, and my mind went blank for a moment. Chloe saw the sudden, reckless speed. There was a car in front of us, and I wasn't slowing down, looking like I was trying to take her with me to the grave. Her face turned black. Ethan, are you crazy? Hit the brakes now. I am hitting the brakes. I realized I had mistaken the accelerator for the brake and quickly slammed on the brake, but it was a little too late. In the midst of my shock, I heard a loud bang, and then the world suddenly went silent. When I came to, my neck and head were aching. I heard Chloe practically grinding her teeth as she squeezed my name out from her throat. Ethan! I glanced back at her. I was driving just fine. You were the one who insisted on talking to me. Chloe's face was dark as she glared at me, forcing the words through her teeth. So it's my fault? I replied righteously. It's my fault. My fault for being so pathetic that the moment I hear your voice, I get so nervous I can't tell the brake from the accelerator. I said it was my fault, but my face showed no remorse at all. After that, I couldn't be bothered with her and got out of the car directly. Chloe laughed in anger, her face cold as she took out her phone to call Sarah to handle the situation. After ending the call, she saw me rubbing my neck, bent over, talking to the driver of the car we had hit. My posture was clearly that of someone who had done wrong and was apologizing. This version of me was vastly different from the me in Chloe's memory. The me she remembered had never apologized to anyone but her. I was arrogant and willful, and even when I was in the wrong, I always acted superior, feeling that others deserved it. In a situation like a car accident, I wouldn't even get out of the car. I would just call someone to handle it, not caring at all whether the other person was okay. I asked with concern, "Are you all right?" The woman got out of the car, rubbing her neck. A bruise on her forehead marred her fair and perfect face. When I saw her face clearly, I felt a great sense of guilt and became even more apologetic. It was the female lead from Leo's recently released angsty teen movie, the popular young actress Isabella Vance. The book mentioned her when she was co-starring with Leo, describing her as a former child star who was now a famous actress. Leo's fans celebrated wildly that he got to work with her in his first movie. Their on-screen pairing subsequently became a huge hit online. But in that same year, before the original Ethan died, she also died, leaving behind a long suicide note. A sunny girl who always used to have a smile on her face had a pair of parasitic parents behind her. They clipped the wings of her dreams, made her lose her sense of self, and treated her as a money-making tool, never caring about her feelings. Suffering from long-term depression, she was forced by her parents to entertain a powerful figure in the industry whom they couldn't afford to offend. This became the last straw, and she chose to end her life. When I read the book, I felt like she was a reflection of myself and shed many tears in empathy. Isabella Vance glanced at her beloved car, then looked down at me, a hint of amusement in her eyes. So, is this what they call sitting in the car, disaster falls from the sky? She had been hit while waiting at a red light. I composed myself and looked at her, the lingering ache in my eyes not yet faded. I'm so sorry. I'll take care of the car repairs, and I'll also compensate you for your medical checkup and emotional distress. Most people would scream or be starstruck upon first seeing her, but this was the first time Isabella had met someone who looked at her with such an expression, as if they could see the unhappiness beneath her glamorous facade. While she was still dazed, I took out my phone. Could you give me your contact information? It'll be easier to handle any follow-up compensation issues. Isabella didn't care about the car or the compensation, but my earlier look made her unable to resist taking my phone and adding her contact information. She made a quick call to her own phone and then handed mine back. You don't recognize me? I put my phone away, a smile playing on my lips. The famous star Isabella Vance. How could I not recognize you? I'm a huge fan. Could you give me an autograph? Isabella looked at me skeptically. When I first saw her, I clearly didn't show the excitement of seeing an idol. Seeing her hesitate, I stepped forward and hugged her. If you don't want to give an autograph, then how about a hug? Isabella stood there, stunned. Unlike the excited hugs from her fans, I held her quietly, as if I were confessing something, or perhaps comforting her. You are truly outstanding. Your excellence has given many people the courage to face setbacks and the motivation to move forward. I hope that one day, we can also give you courage and become the strength that supports you on your journey. Chloe watched from the car as my handling of the accident turned into me hitting on a woman. Her face dark, she got out and pulled me out of the woman's arms. Just then, Sarah rushed over. Chloe took her car keys from her and dragged me away. Isabella stood there watching me, my words still echoing in her mind. I smiled and waved at her, a smile like spring blossoms and a summer breeze, like all the beautiful things in the world, frozen into a painting under the warm lights. Chloe pinned me against the car, her face as cold as ice, cheating on me right in front of my face. You're getting bolder and bolder. I moved closer to her, my fingers tracing lines on her waist through the thin fabric. My life is in your hands now. If you don't let me touch others, I might have the desire, but I certainly don't have the guts. Right now, all I can think about is how to please you. How about I warm your bed tonight? I made a move to get even closer, and just as expected, the next second, Chloe was thoroughly disgusted again. With a dark face, Chloe opened the car door and shoved me inside. A woman who couldn't even touch me, what could she threaten me with? I suddenly felt relieved. On the way, I received a call from my mother. It's so late. Why aren't you back yet? I didn't want them to worry, but now that I couldn't get a divorce and was being threatened by Chloe, I definitely couldn't stay at home every day. I had to lie. I'm not coming back tonight. Chloe apologized to me, and I've decided to give her another chance. Chloe glanced at me through the rearview mirror and scoffed in anger. My mother had expected this outcome, so she wasn't too surprised, just a little disappointed. Then bring her home for dinner tomorrow. I glanced at Chloe in the driver's seat and tentatively agreed. Okay, my mother reminded me, remember to tell me if anything happens. Get some rest early. I nodded. Yes, you and Dad should also get to bed early. Don't stay up late, and don't always worry about me. As soon as I ended the call, Chloe's annoying voice piped up. I apologize to you? What did I apologize for? I casually explained. It was just an excuse to deal with my parents. How could you possibly be wrong? It's all my fault. I figured that my act of being unhappy but still having to coax her would give her the pleasure of tormenting me. If I satisfied her, my life would be easier. But Chloe pushed her luck. I remember you used to love writing long essays on Facebook. Since you know you were wrong, write one tonight, no less than 300 words. The original Ethan used to write them every day, and she would block them without reading. Now that I didn't love her anymore and had deleted all those essays, she was forcing me to write them again. A true domineering CEO. You can't be the protagonist of a CEO novel without being a pervert. I smiled and agreed. I'll write it when I get back. Upon returning home, I went straight to my room and sent a message to Noah. Noah, what are the chances of us taking down Clark Corporation? Or how much would it cost to acquire them? In just 2 years, Chloe had turned Clark Corporation into the leading local enterprise. There must have been some shady dealings involved, but she was the protagonist with plot armor on her side. The book never revealed any weaknesses I could exploit. If I wanted to be free from her threats, I had to be stronger than her, to suppress her. I couldn't believe that I, a transmigrator, couldn't beat her. Forget her ruining Miller Industries. I was going to ruin Clark Corporation. I might not know much else, but I could give Miller Industries the first mover advantage in all sorts of money-making ventures. Noah video called me, a smile on his face. You hate her that much? The next second, seeing that I wasn't at my own home, he frowned. You're back at the Clarks? I didn't hide anything and told him about Chloe threatening me with the video. Noah's expression darkened. What video? Send it to me. I sent him the video and said calmly, you guys probably didn't know about these things, right? Noah was silent for a long time. It seemed they really didn't know. Chloe had resolved these issues for me privately for the sake of the company's development, and now they had become her leverage against me. So I have to take her down and get some leverage of my own. I looked at the man on the screen. I remember that Miller Industries has its own film and television production chain. Have someone send me a file with the profiles of our signed artists. Noah was confused. What do you need that for? I explained seriously. I've thought of a good money-making project. It's hard to explain over the phone. I'll tell you the details tomorrow. As a working stiff who wrote as a side hustle, I had recently been learning about the short-form drama industry. Several short dramas with budgets of a few million were grossing over 100 million in daily user payments, completely overshadowing big productions with investments of hundreds of millions. Moreover, the production time for short dramas is short. You can shoot several in a month. The only selling points are a handsome male lead and a beautiful female lead. The acting is mediocre, and the plot is mindless fun that doesn't hold up to scrutiny, but people love to watch it. The comment sections are full of people mocking them while desperately searching for sequels. In the era of explosive short video growth, short dramas are a huge cash cow. In this novel's world, short videos had just started to get popular, but short dramas hadn't taken off yet. The entertainment industry's film and television works were still traditional, with no such thing as rebirth or transmigration power fantasy stories. If I produced all the hit short dramas I had watched and released them, others wouldn't even be able to keep up with the trend. After ending the call, I took a shower and received the data file via email. I opened my computer and saw that the company had recently signed a batch of new talent. I decided to find some time to visit the company. For now, I had to write the scripts for those hit dramas first. To escape this danger as soon as possible, I got right to work. I was in the middle of writing when a message from Chloe came in. What? Is 300 words that difficult? Should I increase it to 500? I glanced at the time. It was already very late. This crazy woman wasn't sleeping and was still thinking about my essay. She was truly sick. Afraid I wouldn't discuss her enough, I quickly posted an essay on Facebook, visible only to her. I think I'm craving your body more and more. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here in the dead of night, fantasizing about you, naked and at my mercy. I wonder if your cold lips are as sweet as I imagine. And I wonder if your body, always so tightly covered, is as soft as I dream. Chloe hadn't expected me to be so shameless, to so openly write about my lustful fantasies of her. Her face turned from dark to red, then back to dark again. Fortunately, she soon realized something was wrong. Usually, whenever I posted, my sycophantic old classmates would like and comment. This was prime time for them to be scrolling through their phones, but a while had passed, and there wasn't a single comment or like. It was obvious that I was unhappy about her forcing me to write it and had done it deliberately. Chloe replied, "Very well written. Write one every day from now on." Seeing that message, I stayed up all night writing scripts, finishing the openings for 2 dramas, each over 300 episodes long. It was already past 5 in the morning. I was completely exhausted, so I encrypted and saved the files, then collapsed into bed and fell asleep. When Chloe woke up, she saw there was no breakfast on the table and no sound from downstairs. She tried the doorknob to my room and found it was still locked. She knocked on the door. I was so sleepy I pulled the covers over my head, but it was no use. The knocking continued, with the clear intention of going on until I opened the door. I forced myself awake with anger, got up, and opened the door. What could possibly be so important at this hour? I was wearing loose, comfortable pajamas, my hair was a mess, and I was yawning nonstop, a grumpy look on my face which gave me a kind of lazy beauty. Chloe narrowed her eyes, looking at my face. "Where's breakfast? Knocking on my door just for breakfast? I'm not a breakfast stand." The anger woke me up completely. I went straight to her and hugged her tightly, getting my revenge by disgusting her. "There's no breakfast. Why don't you have me for breakfast instead?" A faint, pleasant scent entered her nose, not the usual pungent cologne, but something like shampoo and body wash. Chloe was momentarily dazed, but soon, the muscle memory disgust brought her back to her senses. She pushed me away and threatened with a cold face. "Are you sure there's none?" I gritted my teeth. "I'll go make it for you now." I hadn't been in the kitchen since I transmigrated. There wasn't much in the fridge, so I ended up finding some noodles and a few eggs and made a bowl of noodle soup. By the time I finished cooking, I found the crazy woman had already left. I thought she wasn't going to eat, so I finished it myself and planned to go back to sleep. Then, a message from Chloe arrived. "When it's ready, bring it to the office." As expected, this woman had a real talent for tormenting people. I gritted my teeth, changed my clothes, and grabbed my laptop to leave. Before heading out, I saw the card she had left on the divorce agreement was still on the coffee table. I picked it up, put it in my bag, and then bought some breakfast to deliver to Clark Corporation. Chloe was in a meeting, so I just left it on her desk and hurried away. Noah looked at the script I gave him, Half Moon Rebirth, and after just reading the opening, he had a look of disbelief. "This concept is very original." I smiled and nodded. "Right? I think so too." I pulled up a chair and sat down. When I saw he was almost done reading, I said, "I plan to turn them into short-form dramas." I explained the concepts of short videos and short dramas to him, then discussed their future prospects. Short videos are just starting to take off now, but the user base is already over 100 million. There's huge potential for the future. Noah looked at me, talking endlessly about business, a light in my eyes and a smile on my face. Thinking about the script he had just read, for a fleeting moment, he wondered if I was a transmigrator who had taken over Ethan's body. The me he knew was a bit of a spoiled and willful young master, used to being pampered, extremely picky about food, never eating street snacks, always using designer brands, and never buying trinkets from roadside stalls. Since falling in love with Chloe, I had only had eyes for her, paying no attention to anything at home. If my soul hadn't been replaced, how could I have changed so drastically all at once? I saw him staring at me in a daze and poked his forehead with a pen from the pen holder. I had to admit, he was so handsome that even a nun would be tempted. What do you think? Noah crossed his hands on the desk, showing no trace of his deep feelings, his gentle eyes on me. You said the cost is low, so we can give it a try. Since it's your idea, why don't you be in charge of it? I readily agreed. No problem. I'll send you the script first. You can give it to the director to start preparing. I'll go to the talent agency later to pick the male and female leads. Can you give them a heads up for me? Noah asked. Do you want me to go with you? I waved my hand. No need. You handle your work. I'll come to you if I have any problems. After finishing our discussion about the short dramas, I took a couple of steps, then remembered something and turned back, catching Noah who had just been watching me. I pretended not to see. One more thing. I want to sign Isabella Vance. Noah narrowed his eyes, leaned back in his chair, and looked at me quizzically. Why the sudden interest in signing her? I analyzed seriously. I just think she's a rare talent in the entertainment industry with a bright future. But her manager has always been her father, and it seems they have no intention of signing with a company. Have someone draw up a contract, and I'll talk to her father about the rest. Noah was momentarily stunned by my confident demeanor. I had just left the office and was about to head to the talent agency when I received another text from Chloe. If lunch today is takeout again, you can expect to be on the front page. I gritted my teeth in anger. This crazy woman was really dedicated to tormenting me. I checked the time, went to a big mall, spent over $1 million of her money on gifts for the original Ethan's parents, and then went back to the Millers to freeload a meal. My mother saw me return with a happy face, having bought them gifts not using their card, and thought Chloe had come back with me. She kept looking towards the door but saw no one. You came back alone? I made up an excuse. She's busy with work and didn't have time to come. My mother said, it doesn't matter. It's good that you're back. Why buy us things? We don't lack anything. But she held the bag I bought her, looking at it from every angle, loving it more and more, feeling that all her other bags should be retired. She couldn't put it down. Hearing a servant praise the bag, ma'am, this bag is so beautiful. It matches your outfit perfectly. My mother even stood up, holding it and looking at it again. Really? Ethan bought it for me. It's nice, isn't it? The young master has excellent taste. Then I'll take this one when I go for afternoon tea later. I hadn't expected her to be so happy. My own parents, when faced with gifts I had carefully chosen for them, would only find fault, praising what other people's children bought for their parents. They never showed such appreciation. I had only heard from colleagues how their parents would praise and show off the gifts they received. I thought that a mother from a wealthy family wouldn't lack anything and wouldn't care about these things. After the meal, I asked the housekeeper to pack up the leftovers for me. When the housekeeper heard it was for Chloe, her eyes nearly popped out of her head in surprise. Young master, packing these for the young mistress? Isn't that a bit inappropriate? Should I make a couple of fresh dishes? I waved my hand in refusal. No need, this is fine. The housekeeper watched me as she packed. In the past, when I packed food for Chloe, I would always pack it for her in advance, choosing the best dishes, being incredibly particular. Now I was packing leftovers. The young master had changed. The housekeeper changed the subject. Young master, look at the madam. This is the first time I've seen her so happy, so eager to go for afternoon tea. I was puzzled. Really? She wasn't happy when she went before. The housekeeper sighed. You don't know. When those wealthy ladies have tea and chat, they're always comparing either their husbands or their children. She's not happy today because of the bag itself, but because you bought it for her. I glanced at my mother, who was busy getting dressed. The original Ethan didn't work, had forced his way into the marriage, and was completely obsessed with Chloe, rarely showing any concern for his parents. Whenever the wealthy ladies gathered to chat, my mother could only remain silent, listening enviously as others bragged. This time, her son had bought her a bag, and she felt she finally had something to show off too. I remembered how in the book, after Miller Industries went bankrupt, those same wealthy ladies who used to socialize with her all kicked her while she was down, mocking her for raising a good-for-nothing son who lost the entire family fortune. I couldn't help but walk over to her. Mom, let me help you put together an outfit. My mother was even happier that I wanted to help her. I put together an exquisite outfit for her, one that was ahead of the fashion sense of this novel's world. By the time I arrived at Clark Corporation, it was almost 1 o'clock. I ran into Sarah and shoved the insulated container into her hands. Chloe's lunch. As Chloe was looking at her watch for the 5th time, the office door was pushed open. She instinctively looked up and saw Sarah walk in with a smile, holding the container. The young master has started bringing you lunch again. Chloe's face turned a shade colder. Where is he? Sarah answered honestly. He left. Sarah had been eating takeout for days and really missed the young master's cooking. Seeing no other questions, she was about to happily leave with the container as usual. I'll be heading out then. The next second, Chloe's cold voice stopped her. Where are you taking that? Sarah was confused. But you don't eat the young master's food. Sarah glanced at her, felt a chilling and dangerous aura, and immediately shut her mouth. She placed the container on the desk. Enjoy your meal. I'll get back to work. Chloe loosened her tie, leaned back in her chair, and stared at the insulated container, her fingers tapping idly on the armrest. She picked up her phone from the side. I had just gotten into my car and finished a call with the talent agency director when a call from Chloe came in. Buy me a coffee from the place on Lexington Avenue and deliver it to me personally. I gritted my teeth. Is your assistant dead? Chloe replied matter-of-factly. It's a small task, a waste of my assistant's talent. You're just right for it. I retorted sarcastically. Thank you for letting me know I'm still useful for something. I hung up the phone but went to the talent agency anyway. A trainee named Haley gossiped. Doesn't the Miller family's young master only have eyes for that Chloe and never care about his family's business? Why is he suddenly coming to the company to pick male and female leads? Do you think he's been neglected for too long and wants to sponsor a young girl to satisfy his needs? Another trainee, Maya, agreed. I think so too. For casting leads, don't they usually send out scripts first and then have the director arrange auditions? Who just shows up at the company to pick people with nothing prepared? And he specifically asked to see only the newly signed girls. A third trainee, Grace, retorted, your imaginations are running wild. If he was really here to find a woman, why would he ask to see us too? Haley rolled her eyes at her. Are you stupid? It's obviously just for show, to cover his tracks. As the girls were gossiping, the office door opened, and the director walked in with me. Everyone immediately fell silent. The director said, they're all here. I sized them up one by one, from nearest to farthest, then walked towards the group of girls. I reached out and pinched the arm of the girl on the far left. You don't even have a collarbone. You need to work on that. The girl, named Lily, blushed instantly. The gossip from the other girls had been loud, and she had heard it. I then turned to the girl next to her and pinched her waist. A bit chubby. Lose some weight. The girl, named Ashley, couldn't help but ask, do we need to have a certain body type for acting? I answered seriously, that depends on the role you want to play. For an extra, it doesn't matter, but if you want to be the female lead in a romance drama, you need both the looks and the figure. I glanced at her. I hadn't expected the difference between her real appearance and her photos to be so significant. It was either that their looks were lacking or their figures weren't up to par. For a low-budget, quickly produced short drama, even slightly famous actors wouldn't be willing to take part. Newcomers have to rely on their looks. If their looks aren't good enough, the audience won't watch. As a looks-obsessed person myself, if I don't think they're good enough, how could the audience be satisfied? The male and female leads must be attractive. After looking at everyone, I finally explained my purpose. I'm planning to shoot a few short-form dramas soon. Not the kind with episodes that are tens of minutes long, but more like for short video platforms. Before I could finish, a message from Chloe arrived. Did you go abroad to buy a coffee? I replied to her, stuck in traffic. Don't rush me. Give me another half hour. I turned back and continued. The shooting cycle for one script is about 7 to 12 days. The pay ranges from $600 to $10,000 a day, depending on the role. If any of you are interested in honing your acting skills, you can sign up with the director. Under Chloe's threat, I finished my instructions after sending the message and left in a hurry. Grace asked, are you guys going to do it? Haley sneered, you actually believe his nonsense? A whole drama shot in just over a week? Are the episodes a minute long, using newcomers as leads? Where have you ever heard of a drama like that? Maya analyzed. From the way he was checking everyone out as soon as he arrived, it's clear he came for them. It's just a pity he didn't seem satisfied with anyone. Haley teased Ashley. He seemed pretty satisfied with your face just now. You should hurry up and lose some weight. Don't miss this great opportunity. I rushed to the office, where the delivery guy was waiting at the entrance. I tipped him, grabbed the coffee, and hurried upstairs. As I pushed open the office door, Chloe's cold gaze fell on me. I paid it no mind, brought the coffee over, and put on a smiling face. Sorry to have kept you waiting, mademoiselle. My forehead was beaded with sweat, and I was slightly out of breath, as if I had rushed up. Chloe glanced at the coffee on the desk. You didn't poison it, did you? The next second, I picked it up and took a sip, still smiling at her. Though the smile didn't reach my eyes. Madam CEO, are you relieved now? Chloe's face darkened a few shades. She looked at me, then at the coffee I had just sipped from. I walked around the desk towards her, with a fawning look as if I were about to throw myself at her. Madam CEO, is there anything else you need? How about some kisses and hugs? Chloe rolled her office chair back, creating distance, and looked at me coldly. Seeing her treat me like a monster, I didn't even have time to feel happy before I heard her say, I've invited friends over for dinner at the house tonight. Go back and prepare it. I ordered takeout in the morning and packed leftovers from my parents' house for lunch precisely because I didn't want to cook for her, and yet she insisted. I gritted my teeth, suppressed my anger, and maintained a service with a smile attitude. Of course, Madame CEO. How many friends? Chinese or Western food? Chloe answered casually, 5 or 6. You figure it out. I turned to leave. All right, Madam CEO. I'll go back and start preparing then. The moment I turned around, my smile vanished. This crazy woman couldn't just torment me all day. I had to find something to occupy her, to make her focus more on the male lead, so she would divorce me and marry him sooner. Chloe watched me leave, swallowed, loosened her tie, and casually picked up the coffee from the desk to take a sip. Only after drinking did she realize that I had just drunk from it. Her expression instantly became stormy. She immediately put the coffee far away and didn't take another sip. But for the rest of the afternoon, every time she saw that cup, she was reminded that she had shared a coffee with the man she had always despised the most, and she felt inexplicably irritable. She finally threw it in the trash, out of sight, out of mind. The flower in my heart, I want to take you home. In that late-night bar, who cares if it's real or fake? Please sway to your heart's content. Forget the one you like. You're the most charming. You know that? That evening, while Chloe was still in the courtyard, she heard upbeat music coming from the living room. When she entered, she didn't see me, but the aroma of food wafted from the kitchen. She took off her jacket and walked to the kitchen doorway, only to see two new women cooking in the house. One was letting me taste a finished dish. As I ate, I praised her. Seeing how beautiful you are with such a great figure, you don't look like a chef at all. I thought I'd been scammed, but I didn't expect you to have some real skills. Then what do you think I look like I do? With your assets, it'd be a waste not to be a model. As I was chatting, I felt a chilling sensation on my back. I instinctively turned around and saw Chloe's face, dark as if I owed her $1 billion. I had just walked over when Chloe sneered at me. I told you to cook, and you bring two women home? You really know how to enjoy yourself. Should I call a few more for you? Chloe took out her phone, and I quickly pressed her hand down. What enjoyment? My cooking skills are terrible. I was afraid of messing up and embarrassing you in front of your friends, so I hired two professional chefs. I'm not an idiot. If I were really looking for women, would I bring them home? Just then, the doorbell rang. Chloe gave me a warning look and pulled her hand back. I immediately went to open the door. When I returned, Chloe's phone was ringing. I glanced over and saw it was a call from Leo, and I couldn't help but prick up my ears. When Leo got home, he had received a local delivery, a bouquet of flowers and a package. He opened the package to find a brand new suit. Inside was a card that read, Leo, I like you. I dream about you every night. I really want to see you. I think you would look so charming in this. Leo immediately felt this was the work of a stalker, feeling as if he were being watched in his own home, which sent shivers down his spine. When he called Chloe, his voice was trembling. Chloe, can you come over to my place? What's wrong? I think I have a stalker. Hearing those words, I almost burst out laughing. I bit my lip and held it in. Seeing Chloe end the call, I quickly went to help bring the dishes to the table. This was the first time in 2 years of marriage that Chloe had invited everyone to their home. Combined with their recent public display of affection, her friends naturally assumed they had finally made their relationship work. As soon as they entered, they all presented gifts. Jessica slipped a $58,888 gift card for a romantic hotel into Chloe's hand. A little something from the heart. Don't get too emotional. Olivia held up a mysterious gift bag. These are things we've all used and thought were good, so we're sharing them with you. Chloe looked at the absurd gifts, each one more ridiculous than the last, and said, I have to go out for something. I came out with a dish, and hearing she was leaving, I looked at her with a thoughtful and understanding expression. If you have something to do, go ahead. I'll take good care of our guests. As I spoke, I placed the dish in Jessica's empty hands and shrewdly took the gift from her. Go on, don't let us delay you. Chloe saw how eager I was to get rid of her, looked at the room full of women, and then grabbed my wrist. You're coming with me, taking me with her even for business? Had their relationship gotten that good? Her friends were shocked. You're going out for business, it's not appropriate for me to tag along, is it? Besides, we have guests at home. It's not right for both hosts to be away. I wanted to refuse. This was a stalker fan I had spent time and money to invent out of thin air, all to enhance their relationship, divert her attention, and make her nervous about the male lead. If I went, how could they possibly grow closer? Make yourselves at home, Chloe said to her friends, then dragged me away so quickly I couldn't even put down the things in my hands. It wasn't until I was shoved into the car that I realized I was holding the romantic hotel gift card and the adult toys. My face instantly flushed red, and I immediately shoved them all at Chloe. She'll have a use for these tonight. Your friends give great gifts. We'll have to toast them when we get back. No, I definitely can't go with her. If we both leave, what if they tear the house down? I'll stay home and entertain them. You go handle your business in peace. Chloe gave me a look as if she could see right through me, tossed the items into the back seat, and started the car. I didn't even have my phone. When we arrived at Leo's place, I was planning to stay in Chloe's car and let her handle it, but Chloe took the car keys with her when she got out. I sat in the car and watched her go inside without a backward glance, fully in worried about Leo mode. I couldn't resist my curiosity and followed, peeking from outside the door to watch the show. Leo was pacing anxiously at home. When he saw Chloe arrive, it was as if he had seen his savior. He immediately rushed up, showed her the card, and explained what had happened. He didn't know when it started, but she was the first person he thought of whenever he was in trouble. With her around, he wasn't afraid. He felt at ease. But she was married, so he had to restrain his feelings for her and maintain a friendly distance. She didn't love me, but she still fulfilled her duties as a wife and always kept her distance from him. He was waiting for her to get a divorce. When I said we were getting divorced, the love he had suppressed in his heart took root, sprouted, and grew wildly, becoming impossible to contain. The package only had Leo's delivery address. Chloe checked the security footage, made a call to have someone trace the delivery, then put her phone away and looked at him. Until we figure this out, don't stay here. I watched them having such a dry conversation, without even a cheap glance or physical touch, and I felt terrible. Where was the pitiful little thing throwing himself into her arms in fear? Where was the powerful CEO's comforting embrace? The kiss? The R-rated activities? Could they please stop holding back? Even the Ninja Turtles would be put to shame. I had been bored, fiddling with a potted plant in front of me, just touching the leaves. Seeing that my efforts were having no effect, I got anxious and frustrated. By the time I snapped out of it, I had uprooted the plant. To Leo, who had just come out, it looked like I had misunderstood and gotten angry. He flinched and was about to explain, "Ethan, I immediately put the plant down, an embarrassed smile on my face, and explained even faster than him, "Sorry, I was just bored waiting and accidentally used too much force. I'll buy you a new one tomorrow." Chloe gave me an unreadable look. Leo, dazed, waved his hands frantically. No, it's fine. I didn't want to disturb their bonding time, so I quickened my pace and walked ahead. Leo was still confused, asking, "Chloe, did Ethan misunderstand and get angry?" Chloe lowered her eyes, looking at my retreating figure. "Don't worry about him." I quickly returned to the car and sat in the back, leaving the front passenger seat for Leo. Leo felt it was inappropriate to sit in the front and wanted to sit in the back, but I refused. He sat uneasily in the passenger seat, wanting to explain something to me, but seeing me with my eyes closed, not wanting to be disturbed, he gave up. He subconsciously glanced at Chloe and saw her looking at me through the rearview mirror. He had asked her about the divorce, but she had avoided the question. Just now, he thought I had secretly followed them, but it turned out I had come in her car. Was she starting to worry about me misunderstanding their relationship? His heart instantly filled with panic, feeling like something was slipping through his fingers. Chloe started the car and glanced at him. "Have you eaten?" "Not yet." After those two sentences, the car fell into a strange silence. I peeked several times but saw no other interaction between the two of them. I wanted to become invisible and manually push their heads together for a kiss. Jessica looked at us. "You guys, do you think Chloe is choosing a man over her friends? She had something to do and took Ethan with her. What else could it mean? Is she afraid you'll covet her husband?" David frowned. "I don't think they're coming back. Maybe we should leave." Jessica pouted. "I already gave my gift. Why should we leave? Not only am I not leaving, I'm going to eat her out of house and home." Jessica had just pulled out the most expensive bottle of red wine from the cabinet to celebrate when she saw me return. I had a sour look on my face and was walking quickly, followed closely by Chloe and Leo, which completely bewildered the three of them. I drank a large glass of water to calm my frustration. Afraid that Chloe would trace the clues, I had even gone to the trouble of withdrawing cash. All that effort and there was still no progress. I wasn't ready to give up. After drinking the water, I saw the opened bottle of red wine and had a sudden inspiration. A drunken, chaotic night. When Leo was in trouble, he called Chloe first. When Chloe got his call, she dropped her friends and rushed over immediately. What was this if not mutual love? Was she refusing to divorce me just to torment me? I could only say the CEO was too vengeful. For the sake of my own wonderful single life, I greeted them with a beaming smile. "Already started drinking? Great, I'll go get 2 more bottles. Nobody's going home sober tonight." The three of them watched in a daze as I happily went to get more wine. Olivia's eyes widened. Is Chloe bringing her husband to pick up her love rival? David shook his head. Looks like Chloe is planning to have her cake and eat it too. Olivia clicked her tongue twice. I'm jealous. Chloe and Leo walked to the table. I had already returned with 2 more bottles of red wine and sat at the very edge, leaving the 2 adjacent seats for them. Chloe sat in the middle, and Leo sat next to her, greeting the others a bit awkwardly. Jessica smiled. I've heard so much about the famous star. It's an honor to finally meet you today. I immediately chimed in. Then you should at least toast him. Chloe glanced at me, her expression neutral. The other women's gazes also turned to me. I looked back at them, feigning confusion. Did I say something wrong? Shouldn't we have a drink? Jessica smiled and raised her glass. We should. To the famous star. I'll toast you. This was Leo's first time having dinner with Chloe's friends, so he couldn't refuse. He politely had a drink with her. I immediately grabbed the wine bottle, stood up with an enthusiastic smile, and refilled his glass. Ethan, no need. I can do it myself. You're an honored guest that Chloe personally brought over. How could I let you do it yourself? Chloe toyed with her wine glass, giving me a faint, unreadable look. The others were completely baffled but tried to follow along. After pouring the wine, I turned to Olivia, who was next to Jessica. Aren't you going to toast the famous star? Olivia smirked, a roguish grin on her face, and raised her glass. I'm not the type to be rude. As Olivia was about to toast Leo, Chloe shot her a cold glare. If you want to drink, drink by yourself. Then she looked at Leo. You don't have to pay attention to them. It's fine, I can drink, Leo said, raising his glass to drink with her anyway. I'll toast the famous star too. Who wanted to be rude? David quickly followed suit and raised his glass to toast Leo. Leo couldn't hold his liquor well. After 3 glasses, he was probably close to his limit. I returned to my seat, encouraged everyone to eat, and then turned my attention to Chloe. Before I could think of an excuse, Chloe looked coldly at the 3 across from her. You only toast him, showing such favoritism. Is that polite? The implication was that they should toast me as well. This was clearly her way of standing up for Leo. Olivia smiled, toying with her wine glass. He's a guest, so it's fine for us to toast him first. You invited us to dinner, but you didn't toast us first. Instead, you're asking us to toast the host. Who's the rude one here? I wanted to give her a thumbs up right then and there. I glanced at Leo. His expression was sour. Good, he was jealous, wanting to be the host. I immediately came to her rescue, refilling her glass and my own. Oh, don't blame her. It was my oversight. Come on, darling, let's toast everyone together. Chloe gave me a cold look, and I winked at her. When she didn't move, I squeezed her thigh under the table. Physical contact still worked on her. Chloe's face instantly darkened, and she coldly picked up her glass. Chloe could hold her liquor well. As long as Leo got drunk, it didn't matter if she did. I just needed her to have a little alcohol as a catalyst. Seeing her drink, I ignored them and started eating on my own. To avoid giving Chloe any opportunity to order me around, I avoided the crab and lobster. Chloe seemed displeased watching me eat so heartily, occasionally shooting me a look cold enough to kill. I didn't care. The next time she looked at me, I deliberately misinterpreted her gaze. You want some too? I then picked up a piece of braised pork and stuffed it into her mouth. The next second, I saw the germaphobe's face turn even uglier. I was ecstatic. I glanced at Leo again. He was biting his lip and fiddling with his fingers, then poured himself another drink. Perfect, the provocation was working. After dinner, Jessica and the others wanted to sing and continue the party, but Chloe kicked them out. I wanted to escape too. I glanced at my phone and made an excuse. My mom needs me for something. She asked me to go back. Let me give her a call. I walked out while pretending to be on the phone, leaving the living room to Chloe and Leo. But before I could leave the living room, I heard Chloe's warning, 5 minutes. If I don't see you in 5 minutes, today will be your last good day. I gritted my teeth in anger. Why was this woman thinking about me at a time like this instead of her beloved? Leo looked at Chloe, his head spinning and his face flushed. Ah, Chloe, I feel so sick. He really did feel sick. She had brought him to her home for dinner, and when others toasted him, she had protected him, which made him feel that he held a place in her heart. But the way she looked at me had changed. It seemed there was no longer disgust in her eyes. She could even eat the food I picked up with my chopsticks. This version of her made him feel terrible. He knew she had been forced into the marriage back then. He had always thought her hands were tied, and he believed that one day she would be free, and they would be together. But now, he felt that if things continued like this, he would lose her, and he was panicking. Chloe glanced at her watch, then looked down at him. I'll have your assistant come pick you up. As she took out her phone to find the number, Leo suddenly stood up, knocked her phone to the ground, and stumbled into her arms. Chloe, can I stay? That package today. I'm so scared. I don't dare to sleep alone. Chloe reached out to steady him, creating some distance, and looked down at him. Then have your assistant stay with you. Leo looked up with misty eyes. I don't want my assistant to stay with me. I want you to. Chloe frowned. Ah, Chloe. Leo grabbed the fabric of her dress at her waist, looking at the face that attracted him but that he could never read. Have you fallen for Ethan? What about me? I've waited for you for so many years. I called the talent agency director and was told that out of the 10 people, only 3 had signed up, 2 women and 1 man. I was a bit surprised. Were newcomers really this picky? But it didn't matter. I had approached them first because they were our company's artists, and I wanted to give them a chance to train and stand out. If they didn't want it, I wouldn't force it on them. I got the contact information of those who were willing and turned to check on the situation at home. I saw the 2 of them in close physical contact. Chloe was like a wall, blocking my view of Leo, and I could only see their staggered legs very close together. At such a close distance, with Leo still clutching her clothes, face to face, what else could they be doing but kissing? Alcohol really was a wonderful thing. I couldn't help but smile, but it was a pity I was too far away to hear anything. After 100,000 words in the book, I had never seen the female lead say a single sweet nothing. I was curious to see what this woman was like when she spoke words of love. Just as I was getting into it, Chloe suddenly turned and looked at me. Have you seen enough? If you've seen enough, then get your ass over here, pervert. She even remembers to use her eyes while doing something like this. They're done kissing, so why isn't she carrying him to the bedroom? What does she want me for? I reluctantly walked over. Chloe looked at my phone on the ground. I gritted my teeth, smiled, and picked it up for her. The next second, Chloe shoved the drunk Leo at me. He's sleeping with you tonight. I felt like I had been struck by lightning. You want him to sleep with me? Aren't you afraid I'll poison him? Chloe started unbuttoning her collar as she walked upstairs, without looking back. If he dies, you'll die with him. I gritted my teeth. Why don't you let him sleep with you, so all three of us can live happily? Only then did Chloe pause, turn back to look at me, her eyes like daggers. Do you think everyone is as casual as you are? I was speechless. How was I casual? I'm very particular about looks and figure, thank you very much. I want to sleep with you, Leo mumbled, wrapping his arms around my neck and rubbing his head against me. This woman could still resist touching him, showing him so much respect. True love really is different. I snapped out of my daze from Leo's interruption. He said he wants to sleep with you. Chloe acted as if she hadn't heard me and slammed the door shut. I had no choice but to help Leo back to my room. Leo clung to me, mistaking me for Chloe. Chloe, I like you. I've liked you since the first moment I saw you. I really, really like you. I recorded his confession and sent it to Chloe, intending to add fuel to their fire, but it ended up backfiring on me. Chloe sent a message. You seem to have a lot of free time. Have you written today's Facebook essay? I see you're quite good at complimenting women. 500 words shouldn't be a problem for you. I was speechless. Compliment her? Besides her good looks, what else was there to praise? I gritted my teeth and copied a template for praising a woman's appearance from a CEO novel, adding some extra spicy details about craving her body to disgust her. Your face is like a divine masterpiece, so perfect it makes the heavens jealous. You're so handsome it's a whole new level of style. The Pacific Ocean is filled with the drool I've shed for you. Can you please stop stealing my soul? I want to be yours, to kiss your lips. Not long after I sent the essay, another message from Chloe arrived. Don't forget breakfast again tomorrow morning. The provocation spurred me to write scripts for another 2 hours. I woke up to my alarm in the morning, instinctively rolled over, and opened my eyes to find myself hugging Leo. When Leo saw he was in my bed, his face turned bright red, and his mind went blank. How did I get here? The male lead is the male lead for a reason. He looked so pure and cute that I couldn't help but tease him. You were hugging me all night and wouldn't let go. You insisted on sleeping with me. Leo looked at me in disbelief. I never expected that after all the terrible things I did to you in the past, you'd still like me so much. You've successfully piqued my interest. How about you be my man from now on? Leo looked at me, blushing, completely out of sorts. I looked at him, thinking about all the things the original Ethan had done to him. If I could get his forgiveness, could the issue of the blackmail also be resolved? You sleep a little longer. I'll go make you breakfast. Hearing the door close, Leo subconsciously lifted the covers to check himself. The memories from last night started to come back to him piece by piece. He had confessed to Chloe. All those words were meant for Chloe, but I had heard them all. Was I genuinely misunderstanding, or was it a pretense? I used to love Chloe so much I forced her into marriage. How could I possibly like men? But now I seemed like a different person, not in love with Chloe at all, and yet I smiled every time I saw him. I really did go make him breakfast. Leo tossed and turned in bed, not knowing how to face Chloe and me. He tried to sneak out, but as soon as he got up and left the room, he ran into Chloe. Chloe exuded a captivating charm that made her seem untouchable. Leo fiddled with his fingers, not daring to look at her. I was drunk last night. If I said anything foolish, please don't take it to heart. You're an actor. You should know better than anyone that saying the wrong thing in public can cause trouble for your career. Chloe glanced at him as if nothing had happened. Getting drunk is a major taboo for you. He had confessed, but she hadn't responded. Was it a rejection, or was she just treating it as drunken rambling? Leo couldn't tell. He pursed his lips. It won't happen again. Chloe glanced at the dining table downstairs. Is he not up yet? He's up. He said he was going to make breakfast. Leo's face felt hot. He hurried downstairs to get his phone, wanting to leave. I came out of the kitchen and saw that they weren't acting intimate. Didn't they kiss last night? Why did they seem even more distant after a night's sleep? You're up just in time. Come and have breakfast. Leo's gaze flickered as he looked at me. I won't eat. I have something to do. Even if you have something to do, you have to eat first. Without another word, I pulled him towards the dining table. Leo looked at my hand on his arm, his blush deepening. I pushed him into a seat at the table, and he was completely flustered. Had I really fallen for him? Chloe looked at Leo, then at me as I went into the kitchen, and sat down across from him. He didn't bother you last night, did he? Leo quickly denied it. No. I came out holding a bowl of noodles in each hand and asked curiously, "No what?" Chloe glanced at Leo, then at me, and then at the bowl of noodles I placed in front of Leo, which had a heart-shaped fried egg in it. She then glanced at my bowl, which also had a heart-shaped egg. Then she looked at her bowl, which had no shape. When Leo saw the heart-shaped egg, the blush that had just faded instantly returned. I sat down, glanced at him, then at Chloe. Try what I made myself. Leo was at a loss. Chloe glared at me. Is this all there is? I adopted a serious, righteous, and lecturing tone. I was afraid of making too much and wasting it. Isn't beef, eggs, and vegetables enough? As a company CEO, you should be donating your money to charity, not being extravagant and wasteful. I didn't want to make breakfast like the original Ethan, but I also couldn't let her get upset and torment me. Leo couldn't help but look up at me. Had I suddenly learned to understand the hardships of the common people? I gave him a smile. Leo, am I right or am I right? That Leo gave him goosebumps. Chloe glared at me, her gaze so sharp it felt like it could drill a hole in my face. Doesn't your face hurt when you say that? Without batting an eye, I turned to Leo with a charming smile. The past is the past. I'm turning over a new leaf now. There's no greater good than correcting one's mistakes. Right, Leo? Leo almost choked on his noodles. I immediately got him a napkin and a glass of water. Chloe couldn't bear to watch me fawning over Leo, so she picked up her chopsticks and tried a bite of her noodles. I only had eyes for Leo. How is it? Is it good? Leo was forced to answer. It's good. My cooking skills are pretty good too. Tell me what you like to eat, and I'll make it for you next time. Leo choked again. Chloe finally couldn't take it anymore and looked up at me. Since you love cooking so much, why don't you take care of lunch for all the company employees? I was speechless. She was jealous of a man being nice to Leo? Then just marry him already. I quickly finished the rest of my noodles. I won't disturb your private time together. I'll go clean up. Yesterday, the agency director gave me the contract to sign Isabella Vance. I went back to the kitchen, picked up my phone. The company had scheduled a meeting with her mother for this morning. I only went upstairs to get ready after I heard the car and saw Leo leave with Chloe. An hour later, in a private room at a tea house, Isabella Vance's mother, Mrs. Vance, arrived late. When she saw it was me, the Miller family's useless only son, a look of disgust instantly appeared on her face. Where's Director Young? Thinking about what she had done to her own daughter, I didn't give her a pleasant look. Director Young had something come up, so he asked me to talk to you. You? What do you know about this? Seeing that it wasn't about a script collaboration but a contract to sign her daughter, Mrs. Vance threw it back at me, looking at me as if I were an idiot. Did you bring the wrong file? Director Young said he was interested in finding US. I leaned back on the sofa, crossed my legs, and looked at her. To be honest with you, we want to sign Isabella Vance. Then you're probably going to be disappointed. Mrs. Vance immediately picked up her bag and stood up. I calmly threw out a line. Your daughter has severe depression. The entertainment industry has no shortage of actors. If the secret gets out, do you think anyone would be willing to take the risk of casting her in a movie? Mrs. Vance's face instantly turned pale. She turned to look at me. How do you know? She had been buying the medication secretly and had never taken her to a doctor. How could I know? I rested my hand on the armrest and looked at her calmly. I know much more than just that. For example, you and your husband are compulsive gamblers. When you run out of money, you exploit your daughter, forcing her to act and entertain clients, completely ignoring her illness. If all of this were exposed online, what do you think her loving fans would do? The 1,000-word suicide note was now my leverage against her. Mrs. Vance looked at me and composed herself. Don't talk nonsense. Do you have any proof? Do you think I'd be talking to you here if I didn't have proof? I brushed a strand of hair from my face. I didn't actually have proof, but everything I said was true. Do you think that by not taking her to a doctor you can hide her depression? But what about the cuts on her legs, the ones that appear again and again? How are you going to cover those up? At this, Mrs. Vance's legs gave out completely, and she sank onto the sofa. She told you. If she were willing to tell others, would she have waited until now? A wave of anger rose in my chest, as if I were once again seeing that desperate girl before her death. There are no secrets that can be kept forever. I'm just trying to advise you to be more considerate. She sees you as her mother and doesn't want you to become a public target. But I'm not a philanthropist. If it were up to me, I would have exposed everything you've done long ago. Do you want to become a pariah that everyone despises and disappear? Or do you want to continue leeching off her? After speaking, I stood up, looked at her, and smiled sarcastically. I'm just curious. How can you bear to keep exploiting her while watching her suffer so much? But I had lost my chance. I wanted an answer from her, but it was clear this woman couldn't give me one. Remembering the years I was beaten, scolded, and exploited, I walked out of the room, my eyes red with emotion. I leaned against the wall, tilting my chin up to compose myself. Chloe had just finished a meeting and came out of her private room to see me outside the adjacent room, leaning against the wall alone, tears streaming down my face. I wiped them away with my hand, looking heartbroken. Heartbroken, that was a new word to associate with me. The person who came out with her saw her stop and instinctively glanced over. What's wrong, Miss Clark? Chloe composed herself, said a few words to the person, and when she turned back to look at me, I was gone. Chloe had someone pull the security footage. Back at the office, she called Sarah in, find out what Ethan and Mrs. Vance talked about today. Half an hour later, Sarah called back. Mr. Miller went to talk to Mrs. Vance about signing Isabella Vance. Since when did I start getting involved in Miller Industries work? Chloe remembered the incident on the road where I had willingly fallen into that young actress's arms. So, was I sad because I failed to sign her? Chloe tossed her phone aside, tugged at her collar, her chest still feeling tight, and unbuttoned another button. Sign her to our company. Sarah glanced at her. I'll get right on it. After Sarah left, Chloe's phone suddenly buzzed. She picked it up and looked. Your account ending in 3456 has a new charge of $1,028,888. Your account ending in 3456 has a new charge of $38,888. Heh, spending her money while thinking about another woman. I didn't see Chloe at the tea house. After getting my emotions in check, I left and went straight to the mall. I bought a full set of cosmetics for my mother and a few ties for my father. Just as I was about to head back to the Millers, a message from Chloe arrived. Since you're so good at shopping, buy me 2 outfits and bring them over. I gritted my teeth and replied, okay. I didn't even know her clothing size. I asked Sarah for her measurements and bought her 2 business suits. Back in the car, Isabella Vance, whose contact I had gotten last time but hadn't spoken to, sent me a message. I'd like to meet with you to talk about the contract. I checked the time and scheduled a meeting with her for the afternoon. I drove to Clark Corporation and delivered the clothes I had bought to the CEO's office. Madam CEO, your clothes. Chloe looked at my fake smile, glanced at the shopping bag, and said, they're ugly. Go buy new ones. What's the difference between these and what you're wearing? If they're so ugly, why do you wear them every day? If you know I wear them every day, do you think I'm short on this type of clothing? Chloe looked at me with a cold face, her dissatisfaction seeming genuine rather than a deliberate attempt to make things difficult. Then what kind do you want? It's hard to say. I'll know when I see it. My fists clenched. I gritted my teeth and forced a smile. Fine, I'll go buy you new ones right now. Chloe glanced at her watch. No hurry. It's lunchtime. You can go this afternoon. Just as I was about to think this villain had a shred of humanity, I heard her continue. Go home and cook first. I want braised pork and steamed sea bass. This villain was even ordering specific dishes, and she chose the delicious but troublesome ones. Being rich and still having to cook for yourself was truly unacceptable. I bought the ingredients, went back to the Millers, and had the staff prep them. I only handled seasoning and putting them in the pot, leaving the simmering to the staff while I went to my room for a nap. After eating, I delivered lunch to Chloe at her office and then went to pick out clothes for her. I had never bought clothes for a woman before, and I didn't want to waste my energy picking them out for this villain. At the clothing store, I had the sales associate pick out a few coordinated outfits for me. Then, I took pictures and, while browsing the men's section, sent one over to her. Do you like this one? Chloe replied, ugly. I picked out 2 men's outfits to try on and sent her a picture of the second one. Chloe replied, ugly. After trying on the clothes, I patiently sent her a third option. Chloe replied, ugly. I took out her card. I'm in a hurry, so I'll buy these 2 men's outfits first. For the women's clothes, please put together some more combinations for me and send me the pictures. Chloe was clearly doing this on purpose. I'd be a fool to stay here and keep picking for her. I had plenty of ways to deal with her. As the wealthy only son of a prominent family who had forced his way into a marriage with Chloe and was madly in love, if I was looking at women's clothing, it was obviously to buy for my wife. I would definitely be willing to spend the money. The sales associate, seeing such a big spender, immediately took out her phone, added my contact information, and saw me off. Then she pulled out every piece of women's clothing in the store and painstakingly created various combinations. I sent Chloe the 5th set of photos and then went to a tea house with a nice atmosphere and good privacy, requesting a private room. As I was entering my room, a man named Ryan came out of the room across the hall to go to the restroom and was momentarily stunned when he saw me. Leo had said I had changed recently, and my appearance and style really had changed a lot. I sent Isabella a location pin, ordered drinks, desserts, and some snacks, then opened my laptop to continue writing my script while dealing with Chloe. When Ryan returned from the restroom, he saw a waiter carrying drinks and desserts for 2 into the room across the hall. 20 minutes later, he saw a woman in a hat and mask push open the door to that room. Such a big change, and it was because he had a new lover. As Leo's best friend, he knew exactly how I had bullied Leo over the years. Chloe already hated me. If she found out I was sneaking around with another woman, wouldn't she hate me even more? He sent a message directly to Chloe. Your husband is on a date with a young actress at the Time Rewind Tea House. The moment Chloe saw the message, she immediately made a call to track my location. I saw Isabella arrive, greeted her, closed my laptop, took a sip of my orange juice, and sent Chloe another photo. I put my phone away and looked up to see Isabella taking off her hat and mask, looking at me. At 20 years old, in the prime of her youth, her face was so beautiful it was as if she were blessed by the heavens. Her skin was as flawless as if it had been soaked in milk, and her obsidian-like dark eyes held a natural depth of emotion. When she smiled, her fans were mesmerized. When she didn't, she had a touch of melancholy. Such a stunning beauty, who could make people scream even through a screen, was sitting right across from me, staring at me intently. I took a sip of my drink and said casually, "What? Fallen for me?" Isabella instantly looked away, embarrassed. She took a couple of sips of her drink before looking at me again. "I'm just curious. How did you convince my mom?" It seemed Mrs. Vance hadn't told her about my threats. I smiled. "Of course. It's because the terms I offered were too good for your mom to resist." "Then why did you offer such good terms?" "Because you're worth it." I felt that statement could be easily misunderstood, so I added, "You're so talented. I believe you can create even greater value in the future." Isabella stared at me for a long moment, as if she had finally confirmed something. "You really do have bad taste." I looked up at her, a question mark on my face. Isabella looked at me, her gaze steady. "You fell for Chloe, but the whole world knows she doesn't love you, and I'm not as outstanding as you think." I ignored the first part of her sentence and looked at her with a faint smile, my calm gaze seeming to see right through her. "What? Feeling the pressure already? Afraid of disappointing me?" Isabella's gaze deepened as she looked at me. There was no love or infatuation in my eyes when I looked at her, yet she felt as if I understood her completely, as if I could see the real her. It was as if I knew she was suffocating in the cage her mother had built and had rescued her by signing her. Staring at me like that, did I hit the nail on the head? I casually ate my dessert as my phone buzzed. I opened it and saw Chloe's reply, "Ugly." I sent her another photo. Chloe looked at the picture I sent, her hand tightening on the steering wheel as she floored the accelerator. 15 minutes later, she was standing outside my private room, and I sent her yet another photo. I had just put down my phone when the door to the room slammed against the wall with a loud bang, shuddering. Following that, Chloe strode towards me with a dark expression, looking menacing. Before I could even think, she pulled me up, wrapped her arm forcefully around my waist, and held me tight against her. Our skin temperatures instantly merged. I was a bit surprised. It seemed this villain had fallen for my trick this time and was seriously angry. "Ethan." Isabella stood up, looking at me with concern. Chloe gave me a cold look, paused for a beat, and said in a chilling tone, "Tell her to get lost." I looked at Isabella without any fear and gestured for her to leave. "You should go back for now." Isabella looked at me, then at Chloe. I gave her a reassuring look. "Go on back." My gaze towards Isabella was warm, not like the fake smile I gave Chloe. Heh, she likes her that much? With the intention of shattering my beautiful dream, Chloe pinned me against the table, her hands braced on the edge, her body almost pressing against mine. She gave Isabella a cold look. "What? You want to watch a live show of a married couple?" I couldn't help but laugh inwardly. "You can't even stand being touched, and you're talking about a live show?" Isabella had no choice but to leave. Suddenly, only the two of us were left in the room. Chloe looked down at me, her icy eyes swirling with a storm. "You're quite good at playing games with me." I gave her a weak look. "You asked me to pick out clothes for you, and I was picking out clothes for you. The store manager sent them over. I looked at every single one carefully and sent you the ones I thought were nice. Are you this angry because you saw me having tea with another woman? Are you jealous?" I touched her collarbone. I knew best what would disgust her the most. How could she stand being told she liked me? Chloe looked at me as if she had heard the joke of the century, her gaze cold and heavy. "Me jealous? You really know how to overestimate yourself." I moved closer to her, my coaxing tone sincere, thoughtfully finding an excuse for her. "Then why are you so angry? Are you not satisfied with my method of picking clothes? Then how do you want me to pick them? You tell me." Chloe's hands on the edge of the table tightened slightly. Seeing me trying to appease her, her expression softened a little. Then, she grabbed the wrist of the hand that was caressing her waist and pulled me away. "My laptop." With quick reflexes, I grabbed my laptop and phone as she dragged me all the way to the car and shoved me inside. 15 minutes later, Chloe led me into the women's clothing section of a department store. In one store, she sat down on a lounge chair, glanced at me and said, "Pick something for me." I brought her the new arrival displayed most prominently in the store. "How about this one?" Chloe glanced at it and went back to looking at her phone, clearly unimpressed. A sales associate immediately came over enthusiastically to help, picking up an item and presenting it to me. "I think this one is nice." Chloe's cold eyes instantly shot towards her. "I told him to pick, not you. Say one more word." The associate immediately backed away, moving far from us. I finally figured it out. This villain was trying to get back at me for the little game I played earlier. I didn't want to pick for her, so she insisted that I do it. I brought item after item, running my legs off, while Chloe just sat there, legs crossed, playing on her phone. Sometimes she would just give a disdainful look. Other times, when she couldn't stand it anymore, she would say, "Don't just bring any old thing in front of me. Do you just grab any piece of clothing you see? Are you this careless when you pick clothes for yourself? Green? Do you want to get me a green hat to go with it?" I let her be as picky as she wanted, playing the role of an obedient listener, going along with her wishes. When we were in the second store, I picked out an outfit and suggested, "I think this one is nice. Do you want to try it on?" Chloe glanced at me. "If I had to try on everything you thought was nice, I wouldn't have made it to this store alive." Following the principle of just keeping her happy, I continued to coax her, Then what do you think of this one? Chloe glanced at it twice. Not great. You can't tell how clothes will look just by looking at them. You have to try them on. You asked me to pick, but you don't trust my taste. Isn't that just a waste of your precious time? Chloe glanced at me, threw down the magazine she was holding, stood up, and snatched the clothes from my hand. As Chloe went to the fitting room to try them on, I could finally take a break. I took out my phone, replied to a few messages, ordered a drink, and was about to sit down when I heard someone call my name. Ethan, buying clothes for your wife again? She practically lives in a hotel and never comes home. Are you sure she'll even wear what you buy her? A man needs to find a wife who actually cares about him. Look at me. I can't even go out shopping without my wife insisting on coming along. She worries, afraid I'll get tired. Kevin was like a peacock spreading its feathers, his words dripping with mockery and showing off. The pungent smell of his cologne made me frown. I searched the original Ethan's memories and identified him. This was Kevin, the eldest son of the Jeong family, a relative from Chloe's father's side, who had always tried to compete with the original Ethan in everything back in high school. Yes, you and your wife are a match made in heaven, so loving and compatible. I'm so envious I could cry. How about I take a picture for you? You can post it on Facebook and make everyone else jealous too. Usually, we would have bickered for a few rounds, but this time I surrendered immediately. It seemed Chloe had really hurt him. The arrogant young master had lost his pride. Kevin instantly felt even more superior, his eyes filled with more pity. I'm not showing off. I just feel sorry for you. You've been chasing after Chloe for so many years, and she won't even touch you. I'm trying to wake you up. Groveling like this is just so demeaning. The story of the original Ethan forcing the marriage was known everywhere. Wherever the original Ethan went, passers-by would point and gossip. Now, with a famously loving couple being compared to a groveling man, the crowd of onlookers who loved drama grew larger. Exactly, it's so demeaning. He's a disgrace to all men. If I were like that, my dad would probably rise from his grave out of anger. Hearing everyone's comments, Kevin became even more smug. Did you hear that, Ethan? Think about your parents. Don't become a joke yourself and make them a joke along with you. I said, thank you for your kind intentions. From now on, don't waste your energy on me. Pay more attention to your own wife, live your own life, and make sure you don't have a forest growing on your head without even knowing it. Kevin laughed in anger, as if he had heard the biggest joke. A forest on my head? Honey, he's just unhappy in his own marriage and wants to stir up trouble because he sees how happy we are. We should stay away from people like him. The woman's hand on his waist tightened as she looked at me mockingly. If you're so despised even when you're groveling, you shouldn't come out and embarrass yourself by spreading baseless rumors. Me spreading rumors? I didn't want to get involved, but this vile woman's words were too harsh. The book had a section about her. At a future banquet, she would make a move on Leo, only for Chloe to arrive just in time, exposing her long-running affair. Kevin, completely trusting his supposedly loving wife, didn't believe a word. I know you're just bitter from unrequited love, so jealous you've stooped to this. No wonder Chloe doesn't like you and prefers Leo. Look at Leo, so considerate and kind. And then look at you. I laughed at her stupidity, crossing my arms and giving her a sidelong glance. What's wrong with me? I'm richer than you, better looking, and I'm not being cheated on. The worst I have is a sexless marriage, and I'll still be a hot commodity after a divorce. That's a lot better than you treating a piece of crap like a treasure, isn't it? You damn pretty boy. Who are you calling a piece of crap? The woman's face darkened as she shoved me hard. I had just regained my balance when Chloe pulled me aside and kicked the woman squarely in the stomach. Everything happened so fast that, before I could react, the woman who was kicked had fallen to the ground, taking Kevin with her. The woman was furious. Who the hell has the nerve to kick me? Chloe kicked her again without mercy. Your grandma. That's who. When the woman saw who it was, she was instantly silenced. Kevin's eyes widened in disbelief when he saw Chloe. Chloe, what are you doing here? Do I need to report my whereabouts to you? Chloe shot him a cold glare. Aren't you embarrassed, showing off with a thing like this? The drink I had ordered arrived. I sipped it while watching her fight, not quite understanding what was happening and not wanting to waste brain cells trying to figure it out. But I had to admit, the female lead was the female lead for a reason. She could effortlessly pull off any style. The casual, fashionable outfit she was wearing was even more attractive on her than her usual business attire. Chloe turned and saw me sipping my drink with relish on the sidelines. Her face instantly darkened a few shades. What are you looking at? Get over here. I walked over and immediately started laying on the flattery. You changed your outfit. I thought a celebrity had walked in. I almost didn't recognize you. Chloe gave me a sidelong glance, pulled me in front of her, and looked down at me. At such close proximity, her scent washed over me. I looked up at her face, which was still flawless even when magnified 100 times. My hand holding the drink tightened, and I took a sharp sip. What do you want? Chloe stared at me with cold eyes and ordered me around without ceremony. The tag is scratching my neck. Get it out. I resisted the urge to snap back at her, stood on my tiptoes, and reached behind her neck to get the tag. For a moment, Kevin and his wife, who had just scrambled to their feet, were dumbfounded. The onlookers were stunned too. So much for him groveling, right? So much for Chloe not liking him, huh? A sexless marriage, they said? You really can't believe rumors. How could a rich family's heir be so brainless and desperate? The way Chloe looks at him, if that's not love, I'll eat my own shit while doing a handstand. Chloe was tall, and I was struggling to reach while on my tiptoes trying to keep some distance. Before I could get the tag, I lost my balance and stumbled right into her arms. The clean scent of her hair instantly filled my senses. Chloe stood there, her body rigid. I was embarrassed for a second before quickly pulling out the tag. Just as I was about to pull away, Chloe wrapped an arm around my waist and pressed me slightly closer to her. I was forced to look up at her. Chloe looked down at me, a half smile on her lips and a hint of mockery in her eyes. I asked you to get the tag, and you throw yourself into my arms? Still haven't given up on me, have you? I raised my hand and touched her waist. You saw right through me? I admitted with my words that I hadn't given up on her, but my eyes were completely devoid of any feeling. Chloe stared at me, her expression unreadable. I moved closer on my own, my warm breath brushing the corner of her lips. To be honest, I dreamt of kissing you all last night. The next second, just as I had predicted, Chloe pushed me away. She gave me a dark look, then swept her cold gaze over the gawking crowd. Only then did everyone scatter like birds. Chloe took out her ringing phone and answered, Ms. Clark, Isabella Vance has already signed with Miller Industries. Chloe looked over at me, sipping my juice. Then poach her. I finished a glass of iced juice, feeling refreshed, and looked at Chloe, only to see her staring at me with a dark expression. Could my supposed lingering feelings for her make her this angry? Did this mean she was about to tell me to get lost? I waited for her to speak, but Chloe said nothing, changed out of the clothes and told me to go pay. After I paid, Chloe turned and walked into a shoe store, sat down, and gave me a cold glare. What are you standing there for? Go pick some out for me. I brought her a pair. How about these? Chloe sneered. How can you tell just by looking? You have to try them on to know. I handed the shoes to her. Chloe glanced at me. You do it. I finally understood. Since she couldn't torment me with trying on clothes, this villain had switched to shoes. I gritted my teeth, smiled, and knelt down beside her, giving her calf a little squeeze. Lift your foot. Chloe gave me a cold glare. I put the new shoe on for her. How is it? Not great. Chloe glanced down and took out her phone. I looked around the shoe store, not wanting to have her try on anymore. Chloe wouldn't let it go. If you can't pick one, then we'll try them on one by one. While I put the shoes on for her, I was cursing her 18 generations of ancestors in my head. Chloe handled a couple of work messages. In her friends group chat, Jessica had sent a photo, a side profile of her with her arm around my waist and my hand on hers. Our eyes locked. Olivia sent a message, you there. David sent a message, Chloe has changed. Jessica then shared a news link with the headline, so they say Chloe doesn't like Ethan? Clicking the link, she saw the photo from just now, another of me throwing myself into her arms, one of her looking at me and one of me looking at her. As one of the people involved, she knew better than anyone that there was no love in my eyes for her, and her gaze held no love for me either. Yet, the atmosphere captured in the photos created an illusion of love that made even her pause for a moment. The comments section was completely buying it. This generation of internet users is really good with sarcasm. I was totally baited by the headline. I came here to see some drama, and you shove a mouthful of PDA down my throat. Is that polite? You call this not in love? UF ***** and call this not in love? Ethan has totally won at life. The way she only has eyes for him makes me want to be him for a second. God, can you explain yourself? Giving them wealth and good looks is one thing, but you gave them love too. Why am I left with nothing when it's my turn? Which direction do I need to pray to get a woman like that? To the guy above, I've tried. It's faster to just dream about it. Sarah immediately made a call to get the trending topic taken down. She had been with the CEO for years and knew she hated trending with Mr. Miller, especially for stories about their supposed love. Every time, she was ordered to remove it, and afterwards, she would get an earful and have her bonus docked. This time, she had to handle it perfectly. Jessica sent a message, let's skip tonight. I'm already full from all the PDA. Olivia sent a message, send less of this kind of news next time. I'm not a fan. She glanced down at me, as if sensing I was cursing her. Are you very reluctant to help me try on a shoe? Of course not. Forget shoes. I'd be happy to help you try on clothes. How about I help you try on a few more outfits in a bit? Chloe looked at my fake, lecherous smile, and her throat tightened. All right, I was completely baffled. With a faint smile, Chloe stood up. Let's not wait for a bit. Let's go now. I was speechless. This villain wasn't me. She especially loathed anyone who coveted her. She pulled me into a clothing store, and before I could make a move, Chloe grabbed 2 outfits and dragged me straight into the fitting room. The space was small, and standing face to face so close, the air began to feel thin. Chloe hung the clothes on a nearby hook and looked at me, her gaze so deep it seemed to see right through my petty tricks. What are you standing there for? I cursed her in my head. She was allergic to my touch and couldn't lay a hand on me, so what did I have to fear? I could look for free, touch for free. It would be a waste not to take advantage of this perk. I gritted my teeth, smiled, and raised my hand to unbutton her collar. Chloe looked down at me. I had to stand on my tiptoes just to reach the buttons, and my hand inadvertently brushed against her skin. I clearly felt her body tense up. She was feeling disgusted again. I felt if I didn't hurry, I might not get to see anything. But it was my first time unbuttoning a woman's shirt. I had no experience, and I was on my tiptoes. I fumbled for what felt like an eternity without success. My hand grew tired, and as I lowered it, a button from her collar fell into my palm. Chloe's cold gaze fell upon me. I offered an embarrassed smile. Sorry, I was in too much of a hurry. The second button, then the third. Chloe watched it all, her expression shifting rapidly. Just as I was about to see everything, Chloe shoved me away. By the time I recovered, I saw her pulling out her phone as she opened the door and walked out, radiating a frosty aura. I'll wait for you here. I wanted to curse. Who was so tactless as to call her at a time like this? I sat down and took out my phone, which I had been longing for, and saw that messages were flooding in from the original Ethan's informants. I looked at my phone and saw a message. Chloe was on the phone with Sarah, rebuttoning her shirt. Ms. Clark, when are you coming back to the office? There's an urgent file that needs your signature. After ending the call, she subconsciously reached for her collar button, only to find it missing. She glanced at the fitting room. I still hadn't come out. Her face darkened, and she left without another word. Back in her office, Sarah brought her a file to sign and said with a hint of pride, Ms. Clark, you and Mr. Miller were trending again, but I reacted quickly and had it taken down right away. It's off the trending list now. Chloe looked up at her. When Sarah didn't receive any praise, she glanced at her boss. Then again, sensing something was off, she saw Chloe's lips curl into a cold sneer. It seems you've been quite idle lately. I want to see all the information on that North Hills project within 24 hours. Sarah was speechless and left with the file. Chloe picked up her phone and searched the term, Chloe Clark doesn't love Ethan Miller. Sure enough, it was no longer trending. After being tormented by Chloe for so long, my desire to ruin her was overwhelming. I immediately rushed to Miller Industries to find Noah. It was a scorching hot day. As soon as I entered, I plopped down in a chair and grabbed a file from the desk to use as a fan. Noah glanced at me and lowered the air conditioning a few degrees. Weren't you on a date with Chloe? What brings you here? I thought about that trending topic where the comments said Chloe and I were so sweet and in love. I still couldn't understand how Chloe's barely contained disgust for me was being seen as love. I looked up at Noah. If I were really on a date with her, would I have time to come see you? Noah looked at me. Has she started to fall for you? She could never fall for me, I said with absolute certainty. How can you be so sure? Noah looked at me, his gentle gaze turning deep. I put the file back on the desk. I've revolved around her for so many years. How could I not know who she likes? She's putting on this whole act to create the illusion that our two families are on great terms. So you'll let your guard down and she can take the opportunity to ruin the Miller family. I came to you to remind you to be on your guard against her. Chloe was threatening me, tormenting me by refusing to divorce. That meant she was definitely planning to follow her main plotline, ruin the Miller family and leave me with nothing. I had to be more vigilant. Noah looked at my overly anxious state, as if I were certain the company was in trouble. Have you found any problems within the company? I shook my head. No. Noah was puzzled. And the projects are fine too? I sighed. Yes. Noah was a little surprised. Nothing could be found? If I couldn't find anything and couldn't stop the female lead scheme, then my only option was to make more money. Noah couldn't help but ask, what's the ending of that transmigration novel you showed me last time? I shrugged helplessly. I don't know either. The author hasn't finished it. If you're interested, I'll let you read it after he finishes and sends it to me. I took a piece of chocolate from my bag, unwrapped it, and ate it, then stood up to leave. Seeing him staring at me, I took another piece from my bag and gave it to him before I left. After leaving the office, I drove back to the Miller estate. The book mentioned that after Clark Corporation acquired Westwind Pharmaceuticals, its stock, which had been declining for months, began to hit its daily upper limit repeatedly, doubling its value on the stock market in less than 2 weeks. According to the plot in the book, the acquisition was supposed to happen within the next few days. I had no good excuse for the company to invest, so I had to buy the stock myself. But I hadn't been here long enough for my brokerage account to qualify for margin trading. I decided to ask to use my mother's stock account. As soon as I got home, I heard the housekeeper say that my mother had been consuming all the online gossip about me and Chloe all afternoon. My feelings were instantly complicated. Seeing me return, my mother put away her phone and immediately told the housekeeper to start preparing dinner. Have Chloe come over for dinner tonight. I immediately tried to deflect. She might not have time tonight. My mother insisted. Just ask her. I absolutely did not want Chloe to come for dinner. Given that she was planning to ruin the Miller family, she didn't deserve to eat a meal in our house. However, I wanted to go home and cook for her even less. I sent Chloe a message. My mom wants you to come over for dinner tonight. Chloe's reply was curt, I'm busy. Seeing her reply, I was completely relieved. If she was busy, she was probably going to explain the trending topic to Leo, which also meant I wouldn't have to cook for her. After finishing her work, Chloe glanced at her watch, then picked up her phone again. She had said she was busy, and he hadn't sent another message. It seemed he really didn't want her to come. She put her phone away and stood up. It was already 5:30 when she arrived at the Miller estate. In the past, every time she visited, my parents would subtly pressure her, making her feel threatened time and again. After she no longer needed to fear Miller Industries, she had never come back. The moment she walked in the door, she saw Noah and me sitting on the sofa, chatting. She didn't know what I was saying to him, but the smile on my face was completely different from the fake one I always gave her. Noah was peeling a pomegranate, his eyes practically glued to me. My mother greeted her with a smile. Chloe, you're here. Only then did Noah and I look up. I had been discussing the short drama shoot with Noah, and I was stunned to see Chloe. Didn't this crazy woman say she was busy? Noah glanced at Chloe and handed me a plate of peeled pomegranate seeds. I casually took a few and put them in my mouth, which earned me a look from Noah. Hold it yourself. I was stunned for a moment before taking the plate. I had assumed he was peeling it for himself. I didn't expect it was for me. Who wouldn't like a man like this? Looking back at Chloe, with her cold face that looked like I owed her $1 billion, I felt a wave of disdain. Didn't you say you were busy? Chloe ignored Noah, took the pomegranate from my hand, set it on the coffee table, and gave me a cold glare. I just wanted to give you a surprise, didn't I? She bit out the word surprise. Then, as if no one else were there, she wrapped her arm around my waist, pulled me in, and whispered in my ear, her breath warm. If I'd known I'd be interrupting your fun with another man, I wouldn't have come. I couldn't help but glare at her. Don't talk nonsense. Watch your tone with me. If my family hadn't been there, I would have pounced on her like a hungry wolf to thoroughly disgust her. My mother, seeing that Chloe only had eyes for her son from the moment she arrived, happily called everyone to dinner. Only then did Chloe let go of me, discreetly flexing the hand that had just been around my waist. I glanced over and felt the urge to hand her a tissue to wipe it off. Chloe hadn't come to the house for dinner in a long time. My father held a strong grudge against her and didn't speak to her at the table. For her son's sake, my mother continued to treat her like an honored guest, greeting her with a warm, welcoming smile. Noah watched silently, his expression unreadable. In the past, I would have been constantly putting food on Chloe's plate, giving her all the best bites. Now, I was just focused on my own meal, eating with relish. Chloe couldn't help but glance at me. Seeing this, my mother gently reminded me, Ethan, don't just focus on your own food. Take care of Chloe. I retorted nonchalantly, she's a grown woman, not a child. Does she still need someone to take care of her? I didn't want them to know I wanted a divorce but was being blackmailed, and the anxiety was getting to me. Despite my words, I still casually put some food on Chloe's plate. You all eat too. After serving Chloe, I served my father, then my mother, and then Noah, making a point of treating everyone equally, showing my love for all of them. After I finished serving everyone and was about to eat, I noticed my parents were staring at me. Noah was staring at me, and Chloe was staring at me too. I was a bit bewildered. Why is everyone looking at me instead of eating? My father, seeing that his son's world no longer revolved solely around Chloe, and that he was now putting the best food in his parents' bowls, finally broke into a happy smile. Honey, bring out that bottle of wine I've been saving for 15 years. Remembering his fate in the book, I immediately intervened. Dad, you have the 3 highs you can't drink. My mother looked at me, surprised, and then agreed. That's right, Ethan is right. My father, seeing that his son even remembered his health problems, was in an even better mood, the smile deepening the wrinkles at the corners of his eyes. All right, I'll listen to my son. No drinking. My mother smiled and put some vegetables on his plate. Eat more vegetables. Seeing them so happy made me think of my own parents. I had tried in 1,000 ways to please my parents, but they had never once smiled because of me. Yet these parents were overjoyed just because of a single concerned word from me. They were so easy to please, so easy that it made my heart ache. It was like seeing my former self, the one who had only wanted a little bit of love from his parents. If everything I had now was just a dream, I would rather stay in this dream forever and never wake up.